to take the risk.
Yep. We're running with our first series. Coming up next, we have Misfits versus Tempo Storm. Two teams which are largely pretty much new to it. Only one player from these 6 is actually a familiar face from Season 1. That's Just Saying from Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm has used Trump and Eloise this time instead of Gara and VLPS. And then Misfits is a completely different roster that we used from Season 1. They have Pokrovac, Stan Cifka, and George C. So how do you think that dynamic will work out up against a team like Tempo Storm, which has played in multiple team competitions by now?
Well, Stan Cifka has a history of competition. You know, he just won the Hearthstone Global Games with his team. Pokrovac, of course, you know, it's right along there with it. George C, he's been called the European amnesiac. He's a very young player, but he's got a great mind for the game. One of the decks he really enjoys playing. Definitely that. Not quite as big as mine, you know, but still very large, huge, some would say. He's got a great mind for the game, and I think one of his strengths is being able to navigate decks that he's not necessarily 100% familiar with, where you have a lot of working pieces, and you have to take this hand that kind of looks like garbage and figure out how you get to the end game so that you can play these massive cards that you have, put together these wacky combos. I think that this team has a great dynamic in terms of deck building, mechanical play, and puzzle solving.
And one of the hard things, too, if you're Tempo Storm, is how do you actually prepare for a tournament against Pokrovac and Stan Cifka, which is you know, this duo, which rivals the old days of Super JJ and Life Coach, has even more crazy strategies than you can ever imagine. They're capable of doing anything, as you've seen them bring the most wacky stuff to HGG, both seriously and ironically. Like, they've played Quest Shaman in tournaments and, you know, almost win. So it's one of those hard things where you can't really prepare for it. I talked to Satan, I sat down with him and said, how do you feel about week 1 match? And he said, honestly, I don't know what to expect, so we're just going to do whatever we think is good because you can't predict Stan Cifka.
Yeah, and you might not know what to expect here, but this is where Trinity really makes it happen. All 9 classes represented across both teams. They're going to ban 2 of the opposing classes. They will not be available for play. Of the remaining 7, they're going to choose 6 to bring to the table. So one of those classes they will not be playing, and it will be by their own choice. With those 6 remaining classes, they'll play a last hero standing match where the first team to take 6 wins takes the set. So last hero standing, you win with the deck, it stays on board. You lose with the deck, it's out of contention.
All right, so you can already see a deviation in strategy here. Misfits banning the Druid from Tempo, Tempo banning Rogue, which I think a lot of people could expect as well as a third candidate. Druid, Jade Druid being a control buster, and of course Tempo Rogue being one of the most powerful decks across the spreads of spreadsheet of matches if you look at it.
Wow.
And interesting choices of omission here as Misfits chooses not to bring Mage.
Well, they're banning Priest and Druid. Those are both classes that Mage was basically built to tackle right now in the metagame. We saw players at the playoffs all summer season long try to target Priest and target Priest and Druid with various Mage builds. If you're banning both of those classes, I think Mage loses a lot of its power.
And then on the Tempo Storm side, they're not including Shaman, which, you know, I thought Shaman's a pretty decently well-rounded class right now, and they're choosing to omit it as well.
Yeah, and here you can see Stan Cifka going to be piloting Warlock and Warrior, 2 longtime classes for him. Pokrovac going to be on Druid and Paladin. George C is going to be on Hunter and Shaman. And even though these are what they'll be piloting, they'll still be operating as a team.
Can you imagine a tournament that George C has the opportunity to maximize a Freeze Mage or Quest Mage's potency and chooses not to?
Likely a team call.
It is. I mean, 2017 is a weird year, and I feel like we're going to continue that trend.
Yeah, Just Saying's going to be on Warrior and Warlock, 2 endgame classes for a guy who likes to play endgame decks. Trump himself split with the Paladin and Hunter. One's for value, one's for face. Interesting little call there. And Eloise, of course, going to be the pilot on those final 2 decks. There's the man himself. He always looks so calm every time I see him.
Sane's a very reserved player, cool and collected. You know, back when Hyped was on Tempo Storm before he transitioned to be a full-time Overwatch player, he regularly recommended us to use Saiyan as a practice partner. I think at first he was recommending him to pick up as a coach, but now since he's been one of the mainstay players and the highest performing player on Tempo Storm, both in results and on the ladder as well. George, is he dressed up? Is he going to church after this?
Oh,
I don't know.
He's British. It's just You gotta
Apparently,
dress
that's
up.
how they dress up on a Wednesday for Trinity Series. Or perhaps it's a turning of the page for George C. He's ready to become a man.
He's grown up.
Or he's ready to sell me some knives. One way or another.
Like a door-to-door salesman.
Well, when you're 16 or 15, you don't really get many jobs, and one of them, of course, is like selling stuff, like being a Boy Scout. But in America, you sell.
Yes. Well, that's
knives
exactly
and
what I
stuff.
associate with Boy Scouts: selling stuff.
Well, yeah, and community service and learning how to tie knots. But that's neither
That's
here
the
nor
big one,
there.
the knot tying. I never could get it down. I was so terrible. They kicked me out. I just couldn't do it.
At least you weren't grooking
I
around.
was like, Slipknot's just a bad band. Why do you need me to learn what this is?
Wow, I'm just going to walk away from this. All right, game number 1 is Warlock versus Hunter. Now this, okay, well, we'll talk about that
Wait a minute.
Patches draw in a second.
That is not an ordinary Warlock.
That is not an ordinary Warlock, and this deck has been growing in popularity recently. It's Zoo Warlock. So let's go ahead and start things off and drop into the comms to see what they're talking about.
Firefly, because 3-2 is possible on their side.
Firefly? We can answer it. Do you want to go double one or
I like double Firefly 1-2.
double Firefly? What is
What do
it?
you guys think?
It's particularly good against.
I think it may be better to coin out the Councilman.
Does Councilman matter here? He probably have 3-2 next turn or 2-2 next turn. We kill it with patches, we don't coin Councilman.
Right, so in the case that he does have the 3-2, if he does have the 3-2, we go Patches Acris. If he doesn't have the 3-2, we coin out the Councilman.
Well, you decide then.
Okay, I mean, I'm happy going double one into double one, especially with this hand.
Yeah.
And then we save Councilman for 3. Because if he goes one drop, right? Like let's say he plays the one drop or the 1/1, sorry, and then he just kill commands the Councilman to follow it up. And then we don't have
Right.
board established as well.
Okay.
Pretty sure we just play a hyena, right? But we'll rope it, obviously.
I think so, but I will think so.
Do I just play it now?
No, we can take our time, like maybe because if he would have crawler, it could be that we could be considering both of these because they might have a it's probably better if you not necessarily rogue, but like take like 50 seconds. But I would play the hyena for sure.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
When should I play it? You have to give the call.
Well, it's not that important. Like,
Should you just jam it now?
yeah, we can play it. Time.
well, we have to fight for board presence in this matchup, right?
Yeah.
Chances are decent. Not something we have to worry about now, but something we have to worry about someday.
It's probably Bear Shark next turn, and we just trade value trade and play Councilman.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It's just Rat Pack, right? But we'll just rope it, obviously.
One empty board. Like Grandmother, they will have one extra toughness. Wow, isn't Red Pack better? It's not that obvious playing.
Yeah.
We'll just play Rat Pack, or do we?
It's not that obvious, like.
Because like if with Grandmother, they have like one extra face damage and one toughness. Could be that Red Pack is better in hand than Grandmother, but probably it's not.
I don't think so, even.
Yeah.
Because, like.
It's just Rat Pack, right?
Yeah, I would play the Red Pack.
Yeah.
Because if they don't kill it for some reason,
Like they will.
Like, they will.
I know, but like,
But yeah, sure.
if they don't, I don't know why. They like disconnect or something.
Play the Red
Dude,
Pack.
it's America's preliminaries all over again. They're just gonna DC like 58 times each game.
So this is going to be a big lead for Tempo Storm. They get to stick their board with a couple of minions and deny any kind of Houndmaster value. They be able to develop Darkshire Councilman, and I think the scaling is really good too. You see Despicable Dreadlord into the hand, and that's not their top end at all. They also have Doom Guards, usually, and they even scale all the way to the Death Knight, to Blood Reaver Gul'dan. And as a result, this Zoo deck plays very similar to the mid-range Demon Zoo that we used to see 2 years ago, where you played Voidcaller and Mal'Ganis.
Yeah.
And Implosion, of course.
And eventually that deck ended up evolving to the point where it had like Dr. Boom, it had sometimes a pair of big game hunters.
Right.
It really did turn into a mid-range deck at that point. I actually remember that was part of a lineup that I ran where I made the finals of a tournament. Finally, I did something at that point. But, you know,
we were all very proud.
Thanks, Dan. Despicable Dreadlord is definitely one of the heavier scaling cards. It just provides so much value if you fight for board early to clean that up and still provide a significant threat. It's very akin to like how Azure Drake feels in these style of matchups.
And I think you're starting to see how important it is for Hunter to just have that turn 1 play. They didn't have it, and as a result, Hyena didn't get a good buff, which let Tempo Storm get the good trade, and which set up for a worse Rat Pack, which sets up for no Houndmaster. Things kind of compound onto each other. And in the past, there was quite the interesting back and forth between a Zoo Warlock and a Hunter. For a long time, the Zoo Warlock was very unfavored against Hunter because Hunter was able to pressure their life total, and Zoo liked to tap a lot, and they were efficiently removed. But then, for a while, Hunter lost their ability to come back, so Zoo Warlock was favored because of all their powerful stuff that they had. They can go wide onto the board. And now, we don't really know how to feel about the matchup because it's still undiscovered, and we're still figuring it out ourselves.
Yeah, let's go ahead and listen to Tempo Storm. Here's some more of their thoughts on this crazy Warlock deck.
Work here. We want to keep Councilman on the far left, and we want to keep Malchezaar's Imp in between the 1/1s and the Councilman, and we want Voidwalker on the far right.
We don't run Wolf, and I don't think he runs that 2-mana spell.
Yeah, it probably shouldn't matter much, but yes, what you said sounds good.
Okay. I just make sure in case something unexpected comes up. Councilman takes a value trade, and then we are swarking.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Before we pass, any?
It's good to pass. Yeah.
He still hasn't played the far 2 left cards that he got off the mulligan.
Yeah, you should. I think in general it's good tactics to pass right after playing the turn, so they have less time to talk and consider what we do.
All right, but I just want to make sure we're on top of things as well, because they seem like they're taking the full time on their turns, which means they've already.
Sure. So we can use our turn, or we can use their turn to talk, in general.
Maybe because if you would have Hydra, it could be closer.
You also gonna consider something like Unleash with something.
Yeah, or the Unleash could be like an issue, so now we should definitely the rope.
This didn't work out too bad though, did it?
Like, not necessarily a rope, but like,
yeah, wait,
at least wait like 50 seconds.
Do we just play it now? We might as well, right?
I don't know, if I would have Unleash, would it be complicated? Probably it would be. Yeah. So
I think so.
yeah, so now is the time, yeah.
Ooh, very interesting.
I want to Soulfire first. What do you guys think? Soulfire the 4/3.
The Houndmaster? Is it stronger than just playing Doomguard?
I don't think the Doomguard performs that well on this board.
So many possibilities.
I actually kind of agree with Doomguard now the more I think. Because like Vibe Drop and the Demon and the Bomber are all very awkward in hand. It costs too much.
If we Soulfire and we brick on our draw, it's pretty bad, right?
All right, yeah, let's get Doomguard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe we're doing a full trade, including the Councilman, over into the 4/3. So I would say 5/7 to the 3/2, the 2/1/1s into the 3/2, and the Councilman into the Houndmaster.
So I definitely like this line from Tempo Storm. One of the interesting things is how you used your 3 remaining flexible spots in the deck. And Crystal Weaver seems to be something that's debated between some players. I've seen people even run a couple of offbeat stuff like Chittering Tunneler, because you have Blood Reaver Gul'dan to make up in the late stages of the game, and Zoo doesn't really have access to a lot of good spells usually.
You're gonna have to tweet a deck list of this one afterwards, because
yeah, if you haven't actually played a lot of ladder recently, you might not actually be aware of this deck. But at high level Legend, I actually have ran into this more often than controlled versions of Warlock, and I think it is very powerful, especially with how tempo driven a lot of other decks are. This is one of the best at it.
Yeah, and Despicable Dreadlord, their time has been used up at this point. It wasn't a fight for board attrition anymore. It's now a matter of how much pressure can Tempo Storm just strictly get. This Malchezaar's Imp has been working overtime.
Misfits just finally being able to get some synergy amongst their cards, but the sad thing is almost any adapt that he gets on his Alley Cat won't really matter unless it's plus attack to challenge the board. And Tempo Storm now has room to leverage their life total. A lot of times, if you're behind on the board against Warlock, life tap is a suicide mission against Hunter because how much damage it does to yourself. But now Tempo Storm can actually play 2 Flame Imps and life tap, and that's the only damage that they have received from Hunter.
Yeah, and the other thing to consider too here is that Misfits wasn't able to just apply any early pressure, you know, in the meantime of losing this board. If they had been able to get in, you know, say 10 points of pressure by the time they lost this board, life tap does have a much bigger risk to it then. You can just get wear down and see Misfits draw a kill command, and that ends the game. In this situation, because they're at 25, the life tap is just going to take over the game. With Misfits out of cards, Tempo Storm having 2 a turn, that's a big hurt that they're about to suffer.
That is one of the big reasons why Zoo was even in contention for discussion for a good deck, is because of Prince Keleseth, which really made us rethink a lot of those faster decks.
Ooh,
that's a nice draw. It's a very nice draw.
It's about
here.
as good as it gets.
Speak your piece.
And again, I think you're comfortable enough playing Flame Imp in this position.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's usually, again, people think, man, Zoo, they just run out of gas eventually if they're only going to draw a couple of cards. But this is where, you know, even not having top end, they can just fill out the curve with 2-3 mana minions, and they're going to be good to go.
I think the question here for Tempo Storm is how trades end up working here. They can clear down the 1/1, they can clear some stuff and go face. Let's listen to Misfits and hear if they have any hope in this game.
Even though it doesn't matter in theory.
Or like unleash into something.
Oh, dear.
How much damage do they have? They have 12, 10, 18, 20, right? So we should go face and just hero power, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like going face, hero power, and draw unleash and win.
You think so?
Like it's 10.
It's the only way, right?
18, 20. Yeah, they have 20 on the board. Yeah. How can you win otherwise? You never win by 20.
We have to get faced, right?
Yeah, sure.
And how much damage do we have? We have 6 face from unleash.
It's 13, but they're going to tap like every time.
And we draw unleash, we can win.
Like if they just.
Hold on. Do we want to tap for? Do we have possible lethal? We do have possible lethal Soulfire.
Why do we do that? We just.
I think we're gonna win without tapping.
Most likely.
And we're gonna play Chain Gang, so if we're tapping, we can afford ourselves 1 or 2 taps, and we can just make that tap happen next turn.
Sure.
If we tap and he draw a Rexar, then it's not happy, right? Also, he draw a card he didn't play last turn. What can be? It can be.
It's definitely just like maybe Unleash the Hounds to try and save for kill command.
Yeah.
He wants to push the face damage or something.
Oh, so Chain.
All right, well, you can see that Tempo Storm already pieced together the thought process, saying, well, they push damage. They have to be saving it like a kill command, Unleash the Hounds combo, as their Zoo Warlock deck. And, you know, honestly, we have to rethink if we're just going to call it Zoo or Demon Warlock, which is honestly a lot more important because you need to have Crystal Weaver and Blood Reaver Gul'dan to build a big board. And you're playing a lot of those mid-sized demons on top of the normal fast one that you've come to expect.
I think typically you want to refer to a deck by its major game plan, which in this case is fight for board. But the ideal situation
Lifetop Warlock
is sort of, you know, you fight for board the whole way down, you end the game with Blood Reaver Gul'dan, and then a bunch of just random demons that hit there. And the demons are how you fight your way up the curve. I think Demon Warlock's where it sits.
Gotcha. Well, you know, one of the interesting things, too, is the team dynamic and how it's going to transition with new members on the team. And you can already see the impact of Trump and Eloise. Trump is a player that loves to analyze, and, you know, he's received some criticism for overthinking stuff. Meanwhile, Eloise seems to be more of a facilitator and loves to kind of like side with whoever she feels like she leans to. And it's led to a Tempo Storm victory so far. And Misfits, on the other hand, even though they're down one game, it's been fun to see George C. kind of bounce off his ideas along with Stan Cifka, even though things didn't go well their first game.
Stan Cifka and George C. both very playful guys. I've played Codenames with Trump, and he's like super intense into it. And I've heard that he's very great at escape rooms when he likes to do those. Very analytical mind. So the team dynamics kind of drop how I envisioned. It's just cool to watch how very different and distinct it is when it's matched side by side.
All right, so that's going to wrap up the first game of the series. And when we come back, we're going to continue this best of 11 between Tempo Storm and Misfits.
Who's that pro?
Do I attack with Blue Guild first, or should we wait with Blue Guild in case they steal the Tyrian so we can equality and kill the Tyrian, or is that never a thing? Well, I guess it's never a thing.
I crush you, Takamochi.
It's RDU.
Do I attack with Blue Gate first, or should we wait with Blue Gate in case they steal the Tyrion so we can equality and kill the Tyrion, or is that never a thing? Well, I guess it's never a thing.
Seeing this?
Game, record, and stream without compromise. Only on Intel Core i7.
Welcome back, everybody, to ESL's Trinity Series Season 2. A big shout out to our sponsors that helped make this possible. So big thank you to ESL, Intel, and Twitch, as they enable us to do this cool league that I think everyone looks forward to. Now, going back into the series, in case you guys are tuning in just now, we have Tempo Storm up against Misfits. Tempo is up 1-0, but we have a lot of Hearthstone to play. I think if anything has taught us a reminder from the previous series that anything can really happen, and even though momentum might be on your side and your smiles and laughs now, they could also turn to frowns and disappointment later on.
That's right. Buckle in, because it is the first team to 6 wins that ends up taking this set. All 9 classes were available for play in this in this tournament. And players ban 2 of the opposing, and then they omit 1 of their own. So with the 6 remaining classes, they're playing last hero standing. You win with the deck, you keep it. You lose with the deck, it's in the bin. It's no longer available for play. And that 6-win marker is a long road to get there. You see a lot of swings back and forth.
That's right. So Sand will stay on the Demon Warlock. And then we have Misfits who can answer with that. Now, this Demon Warlock or Zoo Warlock, any kind of variation that you want to call it, does have a couple of notable weaknesses, and primarily the fact that it builds such a big board. So it's actually vulnerable to its Control Warlock counterpart of the class, for example. We'll see what other classes maybe the Stancifka is going to play here, as he was selected as the next player, and it looks like it's going to be Warrior instead.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of times, even if you have a direct counter to a deck, you have to consider, you know, the possibilities of what decks are represented even after this.
Oh, boy.
And this is one of the things that we're talking about here. Warrior has a lot of power, both as a defensive and aggressive deck, and the Bring It On already tells us what kind of Warrior this is.
Oh, yeah. It is my favorite style of deck to ever exist in anything.
Are you serious? Really?
Grind them out. Make sure that nothing happens. Stay out of range of all lethal.
Make sure that nothing happens, literally.
I love it.
It's Fatigue Warrior.
Look, there's one of 2 things I want to happen when I play a game. Number 1, I want it to end super quick. Number 2, I don't want it to end at all.
Well, number 3, you don't want to draw patches.
Yeah, well, it's like an asterisk next to the I want it to end it quick. Is I don't want it to end quick via drawing my own patches. No, that's a nightmare scenario. And honestly, this is one of the worst matchups I think they can draw it in, because Warrior is so good at handling small early board states. There are a lot of ways that you can recover, either with Doomsayer or just with little whirlwind effects to mop up boards.
Just anything that clears boards consistently.
I want to talk to you about this matchup, because you're fairly familiar with this Warlock deck and how it generally wants to operate. What needs to happen for Tempo Storm to really get an edge in this matchup?
Well, I mean, you have to kind of resort to what the Murloc Paladins and things equivalent of that nature that has tribal synergy. I guess, you know, Dragon decks used to love doing that too, which is curve out ideally and hit these big impactful swing cards. So, you know, Crystal Weaver can be one of them. Doomguard's another one of them. But also being able to put a lot of big board pressure through Blood Reaver Gul'dan. And also it kind of requires Misfits to have awkward piecing of removal. Like, you know, they have to utilize Sleep with the Fishes and only kill 2 minions, perhaps.
Well, if you're going to draw
that's also
patches
a huge one,
and
too.
Prince Keleseth, I think that's a trade-off you're willing to take at that point. That's a big turn for Tempo Storm.
And they weren't going to curve out without that.
That's right. Let's listen to Misfits and see what they think.
There's basically only one play here, right?
So if they play the Pirate to the Lord, it comes as a 3/3, so it doesn't kill. So,
So I think it's
Like, we should win if the Doomstar proc.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we do win if it goes off.
But if they solve.
Their other keeps are likely Bloodsoak, the Razor, right? 4-mana card.
Also can be Sleep with Fishes.
Yes, maybe.
Yep. Either of those two.
Well, okay then.
So, are they trying to set up for Acolyte or something?
Maybe, who knows? Enter.
Maybe, yeah.
Now we have the.
Yeah, it's
Just Acolyte, right? I mean, was there an argument ever there to play the Acolyte that we didn't keep?
Like, obviously, we want to play.
If we play Razor, if they're really clever, they can track the Acolyte.
So, like, nowadays.
Sure, but then if we know they've kept 2 cards in, that we play Razor next turn, they think, what do they keep with Razor? Sleep with the Fishes, right? I mean, I think that's a logical jump you take there. I mean, I don't know if they're tracking that, and I doubt they're tracking that, but
I think it's best to not give any information and then try to lure your opponent into some sort of thinking.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's just fine to go 1 and 3 then.
Yep.
There shouldn't be any reason to play the Malchezaar's Imp over it.
I think that summarizes the turns here. Misfits did a great job making sure that they're going to have every possible answer to anything that Zoo can put out here. And Blood Racer is extremely devastating, not only because it clears a lot of the board right now, but also because of what it threatens the following turn.
It's certainly a massive threat. And honestly, even the discussion that's going on is like a bit too high level at this stage. You know, George C. was mentioning, should we hang on to the Acolyte that we had in hand already, that we kept in our opening hand, because they're going to see Blood Razor this turn. Does that make them think that we have Sleep with the Fishes in hand? Did we keep Blood Razor, Sleep with the Fishes? That's a logical leap that you take. And then Stan Cifka saying, well, you don't want to give your opponent any information when you're trying to lure them into a particular line of thought. And that stuff is just so unnecessary, I want to say.
It's unnecessary, but it's worth considering. Every small edge can make a difference here, and we have seen people force opponents into bad reads from time to time.
Yeah.
But you also have to know that your opponent does care about those reads. So, you know, someone like Chalky, who's very good at hand reading, maybe you want to give him some information, but I don't necessarily think some players even do consider it when they're making plays.
I just gotta click the big green cards.
So many.
Usually works
I'm
well
just
for
thinking
me.
about cheeseburgers.
Gosh, Misfits deck is built so well for this matchup.
It's perfect anti-aggro.
Oh, their deck is...
You have so much ammo. Actually, it has literally infinite ways to remove threats. Assuming that they have Dead Man's Hand, but I will be very surprised.
Until turn 97.
Yeah. Then they actually can't remove anymore because the game just ends. Let's tune in and see what Misfits is thinking here.
Coin trade Ghoul, right?
We can Acolyte Ghoul.
Yeah.
And then we end up with 1/1 and 3/3.
Yeah.
What's the other option? We can, like, then we'll lose our Sleep with the Activator. That's the only issue.
Sure, but we have Scourge Lord Garrosh as well.
We can, yeah, it's true. So if we get a head on the board, it's really good. The other option it could be that we Acolyte. It's probably nonsense, right? So we just do we want to have damage on Ghoul or not?
No.
Underage, we draw 1 extra.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do it because the value trading is good.
Yeah, because they can just play patches from.
I mean, the face damage is also relevant as well. Like we have Scourge Lord Garrosh, which is like 12 to the face.
So I do this, right?
Yeah.
And then
we coin that boy.
Obviously, I can do something else if I.
This hand is thick. Just look at it. Oh my god. I feel a bit ill looking at this hand. They got Prince as well. Like, it's kind of funny.
Right now. I mean, they can go like 5/6 right now. Mate.
Well, Tapbreaker's contested on board.
It sure is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 5-4. Is there any merit to just playing out the patches to clear up the 1-1?
No, I think it's very important to save patches and Corsair for discard fodder. And
Also,
Corsair possibly for Razor.
We can also save patches for Bone Mare.
Okay.
Yep.
Your magic shall
Well, if you haven't drawn enough cards already, we're helping you draw a little bit less.
What can we do? We can.
At least double trade.
That's one option. So we end up with 5. And we use quite bad cards, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what about slam, trade, Doomsday Hero Power, hit the face for 1? They pass a turn, we get to develop release. We gain 4 armor in the process, and then we have Garrosh as well to back us up.
So what? A shield slam.
No,
Doomsayer?
No,
I can
slam.
Why? Why
we
slam?
can use shield block. plus
What shield
Doomsayer.
block plus
And
Doomsayer?
I mean, if we slam, we can also draw Battle Rage.
Yeah,
Like
right.
if I want to develop Doomsayer, like
What about wait?
I think like Doomsayer and Empty Bar, how can they handle it? They
Yeah.
just use a Spellbreaker, right?
Exactly.
Could we like slam our own ghoul?
I would go
I
shield
will
block,
go to
right?
downstairs.
Yeah.
We could have like slammed our own ghoul. Maybe that was better.
Yeah, exactly. Like 5.
We would have overdrawn a card. We'd slammed our own ghoul and got Battle Rage.
Ooh, interesting draw.
Wow, that's an amazing draw here because Doomguard's a 6/8, and you can play Malchezaar's End, Patches, Doomguard, remove the Doomsayer, fill up the board, and draw 2 cards with the cycle.
Yeah, I want to take a moment to point out Misfit's camera. You can see Pokrovok off screen. He appears to be taking notes on every single thing that's happening here.
Yeah, he is the scribe.
Yeah, and I mentioned it sort of at the start of the show with George C. and liking to play games where it's basically a giant puzzle and you just have to figure out where all the pieces fall. They got somewhat of a magical start to this game with the double Acolyte, with the Blood Razor, with the Doomsayer. Everything fell into place for them. This turnaround here is going to leave them with another puzzle to figure out, but right now it's looking like just kind of do what they want to do, and they're in a good spot. Tempo Storm going to simply hang on to their pieces and say, take your initiative. What are you going to do?
Well, here's the interesting thing, is that if Tempo Storm really takes their sweet time, there's not much that Misfits can actually do to threaten. Their best source of damage is using Scourge Lord's Garrosh's weapon to hit the face.
The Elise helps here too, but I mean, this is about the maximum amount of pressure they apply, and most of the pressure they apply is actually just defensive pressure,
right?
Where they threaten to exhaust all of Tempo Storm's resources. That's clearly the goal of their deck.
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing about the Demon's Warlock is that it can play very similar to how Shaman likes to play against these kinds of warriors, where they pretty much play very resource conservative and try to threaten just enough while being able to go into waves. Like what ends up happening with Shaman is that they do want to put out waves of threats, but they want to put them out consecutively. So that way, if you do clear it, they have another one. And if you clear it, they usually have a third one, and that's the final push that can help them get through if you don't die to the first 2.
And one of the problems I'm seeing with that, however, is, again, the nature of Warrior has changed a considerable amount. Rather than eventually run out of resources, Tempo Storm needs to exhaust those resources prior to seeing Dead Man's Hand.
Yeah, and that's also why it seemed like they saved the Bone Mare, because they recognized that they had a high chance of discarding it. And rather than losing one of the most powerful cards in their deck, they're going to try to squeeze out resource from the most powerful cards first, and then maybe hopefully discard things like the Bloodsail Corsair instead.
Well, just look at what happened. I mean, they went from no board and 8 mana to suddenly 10 power and 5 damage with Stell. You're just not getting a much better turn than that. And you're just not getting a much better turn than this either. The double slam Sleep with the Fishes, and the pack, I imagine, is held on to until Dead Man's Hand is found as well.
But this is kind of what we're talking about, where you're using Sleep with the Fishes on, what, 2 minions? The life total is probably the biggest threat here. Misfits gets to actually pressure and shut off Tempo Storm's biggest asset, which is their health total.
The Elise is just, it's such a large role that it's playing in this spot, because normally Tempo Storm, they're fine with this. The fact that they're taking 5 makes them not. Let's listen to Tempo Storm, hear what their plan is.
A bit more damage. A lot of damage to our own face.
Yeah, it sure is. And the downside to it is if he has the Garrosh, then he can clear the 2 Serenites, and then he can hit us for 5 again, putting us down to 6. But I
kind of like Councilman, 1-drop, and Doomguard.
Yeah, Councilman, Imp, Doomguard. I think that's reasonable.
We have refill.
We trade on into the yeah, I like that.
So we still have chain gun saved up for Councilman, hopefully.
Well,
we don't really need that value actually.
Positioning of Doomguard is far right? Does he likely have to hit?
Yeah, to the right. That's correct.
Or is it middle?
Oh,
no, it should be far right.
Or
yeah, far right.
No, is it middle?
Middle.
Middle, so he has to hit the Doomguard, right?
Yes.
No, because that one's wounded after you trade into Elise. Hit Elise, I think.
So? Yeah.
Because then he can kill both.
This is still fine. He has to take the 6. If he were to do...
Maybe there is. No, I don't see anything. Because we just developed Garrosh as well, which is like huge deal.
Yeah,
So
I think like the whole thing Garrosh is really good here.
Yeah, and if they have cooldown, we have Brawl.
Yeah, we have Brawl.
So we can kill the Councilman. I think.
We kill the shields on the Councilman, yeah.
They can use 1-2.
In the order that they died, or?
Yeah. I like just to play cooldown this turn.
Wait, no. We shouldn't do that. We should just kill this weapon and tap.
Yeah, and then we get a Dreadlord.
Yeah.
That's good.
Sure. Oh my god, I didn't realize. You guys are the best.
Oh, and another demon. Not that that matters that much, but yeah, we should play it.
Yep.
It's played out. And the next turn, we're definitely playing cooldown.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how to help you.
No, Alexa,
Monka,
leave the call.
AoE and attack here. Then we go to 24 and to 19, so we cannot die. And we save the Brawl. And we also create a Brawl presence, right? And this
That's got to be the player, right?
Do you see anything better? I don't.
No, I don't, yeah.
Eventually
We could be greedy and potentially, like...
We could draw...
Yeah. I don't see anything better.
Is there any greed here? Like, Blood Razor, Hero Power, hit the 2-4, like, bring it on, pass?
We don't want to play... No, it's...
Because maybe we're jumping into this, because 10 armor is a big deal. It effectively negates his entire turn. We take net 1, right? We go to 25. And if he spams the board, it's irrelevant. Like, the reduction on the 2 cards is irrelevant.
I'll play this.
Because remember, like, if he plays more minions, we don't.
Back, so it's fine, like, we have enough value.
Perfectly fine for them to have played all these Whirlwinds here. They may or may not have it.
Or another possibility is they want to dump some not that useful hand on the next turn, like keep Brawl and sleep with fishes for the demon's hand the next turn.
Yeah.
Because they don't need ghoul anymore. They don't really need this weapon anymore since they have kill power.
Where I stand is I think they have an answer, but we're trading and playing Gul'dan anyways.
Wait. Do we trade? I like to have damage to face.
Absolutely, right?
I mean, it's the same board. We will have a full board of demon no matter what. And it's just, do we get our Doomguard back if we don't trade?
We get Doomguard back no matter what. I think it's actually maybe better to go face.
No, I think it's better because that gets healed into a 4/5.
We have taunt.
Well, we need 5. We need 5 damage.
Okay.
Yeah, we need the damage.
Go for it.
Smork. Do we have the Doomguard?
Yeah, we have.
Should, right? Okay, nice.
Okay. Ooh. Slow and steady.
So Grommash is.
All right, it's become a Death Knight showdown, and Misfits has actually pieced together pretty much what they want, and they even have mind
where
control
does that come
tech.
from? What is that doing in there?
Mind Control Tech. It's an anti-aggro deck, which I think has a lot of game in Trinity Series, specifically in a 9-deck last hero standing, where you get to queue into a specific matchup.
It's just weird.
I mean, this is good against Shaman decks. It's good against Zoo Warlock decks or anything like it. I mean, I have to imagine it, because of things like Mind Control Tech, it makes it even better against Murloc Paladins and things like it.
I didn't expect it.
I mean, that's when you get when you have Stancifka, Prokovat, and the Misfits. I mean, George C. isn't exactly known to be off the walls with a lot of his tech decisions, but that's where the beauty of putting a lot of these guys' different play styles and ideas together. You can see that they disagree at every junction, it feels like, but it's created some really interesting games, I think. Big Minion survives. They have to take 5 damage here.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Oh, they have Execute, so they can kill it off.
That's a resource expended, though.
That's true.
And at 14 life, Misfits is not perfectly comfortable here.
They have Bring It On.
They have the 2 Bring It Ons, and that's really the big deal here. Is can Misfits piece together enough to pressure through Ghoulman in the 3 damage every single turn? I mean, it's nothing to scoff at.
It is, but with Dead Man's Hand and the Onguro pack, I can't really imagine Misfits ever running out of resources here.
They're down to so little in their deck on both sides.
Right.
I do think that Misfits' amount of resources still fairly easily gets there, but
maybe
still some fight left.
Unless Misfits takes it too casually, and let's say they play a little bit slow, and then all of a sudden, Tempo Storm is able to get Soulfires off and use their hero power and able to burst past them. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case here, but because Misfits should use the Bring It On here at this point. But it's getting close. This is a lot closer than I thought it would be, that's for sure.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, the Gul'dan was just such a huge draw for Tempo Storm. Without that, I don't think that they really see light in this matchup. With it, you are seeing that if Misfits just happen to have those Dead Man's Hand buried at the bottom, that this would be a troublesome scenario. The fact that they have them now is somewhat of a blessing. You heard George, he wanted to use one of them early on. The fact that they've held it, I think is a benefit. Let's listen to Misfits and see how they handle this turn.
Because then it's like there's no way, like no way they're getting
And now we clear, right?
Yeah. So we hit hero power.
But do we hit?
Bring it on. Execute.
Oh, yeah, right. Like
Or maybe we can trade.
It's trading up to free.
It's true.
We don't kill it, yeah. I would just kill it though, I think.
Okay, do we open a pack or will we heal with both?
No, we just double Bring It On, right? So he doesn't get the reductions.
Why?
I think we trade.
They will not have any. Like, I definitely Bring It On. Why don't I open pack? Like, I don't need to heal here and.
Sure, go for it.
They will not have a minion in hand. And let's say I get a 10 drop, I can develop it instead.
Golden Legendary, dude.
Yeah, sure, like.
Well, you toss the Soulfire at the face for sure, yet again.
Yeah, and hope he doesn't draw.
Hope he doesn't draw what, you mean?
The Bring It On again.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess so.
We expect only 1 copy of Bring It On, right?
I have no idea.
Like, we need. Yeah, I would
hallucination.
George? Yeah, we always have.
Yeah, we always hallucinations. 35 down, just 35.
Felguard's good, right?
So right now.
So do we just like.
We cannot die, right?
Yeah, Soulfire. If we hit. I mean, if we don't hit. Well,
both so far are gone, so now I would just go.
Yeah, I would just
play Stonehill.
Play Stonehill, free.
We have to be proactive as well. Maybe Bright Eye, Felguard, plus the 1/2 skill. Yeah, Lich King's got to be the card, right? Just Felguard, MCT. Yeah.
Well, let's hope they whiff 3 times. 2 times, I mean.
He has another Battle Rage, right?
Yes. They're trying to set up for it, definitely.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter whether...
Yeah, there's nothing we can do about it on our side, really.
We can. Yeah, there's nothing. that we can do.
We just have to hope they don't draw into Bring It On, pretty much.
10 cards left. Maybe I should have just not played the Firefly, I guess. It doesn't matter.
Maybe we lose in 5 turns, right?
Like, lose, we have double Bring It On and one shield block in.
Like, we also have, like, 50 there, that's more...
Is there any I guess Bowman is the reason to double trade, right?
Yeah,
just play around that. I mean, if Lich King survives...
Yeah, Lich King survives, we are good.
I mean...
You also, like, getting that coil or something like that.
Oh my god.
Like,
there's no way they're...
certain calls, like, we will develop much more power.
I mean, there's no way they're surviving 5 more turns, us, right? It's just not happening. I mean, maybe if they were like twisting leathers and stuff. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I thought the idea was we should just kill their minions and have them play more turns, but he's not going to show us anything that we don't know. At this point, we found out that there's 2 Bring It Ons. There's at least 1 Shield Slam, if not 2. And they're playing Elise and Lich King.
Yeah, they banned Druid, so probably no Geist in that deck.
Yeah.
All right, well, one thing that we can take away from the end of this game here, as we've kind of limped to the finish line, is gathering information is very powerful for the following games. Tempo Storm paying attention to how many copies of Bring It On, and also apparently they've picked up on the fact that Misfits is playing Lich King. However, we know that came from Stonehill Defender.
Yeah. They didn't mention the mind control tech either. That was just like a passing detail. I think it's kind of weird that Misfits showed the mind control tech.
I've seen people experiment with it.
Now they know they have Frostmourne.
I mean, it kind of... I don't really think there's any card here from Tempo Storm that would ban them back. I think at this point they're just waiting to see any information that can be given to them.
Yeah, that's really the reason to stay in this game. Can you get more information? You heard Just say it. They're probably not going to show us anything we don't already know. It's likely the case, but it's worth a try. I mean, we saw Crane and Complexity use the Pyroblast in the last one. Although you can assume a Pyroblast is there sometimes. Maybe it's not. Maybe you've built the deck to fight against aggressive decks more than you've built it to fight for value at the top end.
Right.
You know, imagine Misfits had not shown a mind control tech. Would Tempo Storm play around that if that were the case? You know, knowing there's 2 Bring It Ons, that could affect the way that they try to pressure in the future. A lot of little things like that come into play when you're talking about a best of 11 set.
Yeah, and I think the way I look at it is to put the burden of knowledge onto your opponent. They're supposed to know that you run the Pyroblast, or they're supposed to know that you run 2 Bring It Ons, as opposed to, well, I can assume that they already know, but force them to know. Yeah. Sometimes they don't, and things like this slip their mind. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of little pieces of knowledge that need to be memorized and internalized before a Hearthstone series begins if you want to be playing at 100% capacity. However, sometimes things slip. People think, oh, I thought that was a different card, or I thought this was a specific deck list that people tend to run. And you can play with that knowledge, or you can play without it and kind of be subject to the unknown forces of it, and that kind of puts you in a disadvantage.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason that being professional requires a lot of hours and a lot of practice. You just simply have to be on top of everything that can happen in a game. You know, the 100-to-1 chances, they come up sometimes, and when they come up, you need to know what to do.
That's right. I mean, and that kind of puts up the question, and how would you prepare for something like Trinity Series as a 9-deck format?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to get started on this. I mean, with 9 decks, let's say there's 2 archetypes per class that you want to learn. That's 18 decks right off the bat. We know that Mage has 3. We know that Shaman potentially has 3. We know that Warrior potentially has 3. So already you're looking at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 different decks that you have to learn. So you have to assume that you have to know 23 matchups there, and then 23 against your opponent as well. You multiply that against each other, you're looking at like 460 or 490 combinations or something ridiculous like that you have to learn. Now, let's just say that you have to learn 10 games you have to learn the matchup in. That means you have to play a minimum of like 5,000 games. You want to be stat tracking during all this. You have to perfect all the deck list during this time as well. There's a lot of things that really come into it when you're talking about these lineups. Not only do you want to have the deck list perfected, do you want to have the matchups perfected, but then you got to do the random number math. And Lord knows how much random number math there is where we're talking about created by with Babbling Books, created by with Primordial Glyphs. How many turns does it take you to end if you have Dead Man's Hand in your deck? We just saw a Dead Man's Hand deck. Did they have 2 of them in there? There's a 97 turn limit. So that means after 97 turns, the game will end in a draw. What do you do if the game perpetually ends in a draw? That's one of those situations where you start spurring off into different timelines. And when you get into these different timelines, like if you want to go back and reverse that, which is what the regame is, what that means is you potentially risk running into yourself. That could completely disrupt the space-time continuum and obliterate the fabrics that comprise the entire universe. Think about all the different possible iterations that are here. This hasn't even accounted for the bans yet. 2 of your opponent's bans, you have to anticipate what they're banning from you, then you have to omit one of your own classes. Is Warrior really that bad? Is Fiery War Axe really worse than Rallying Blade? Who holds Rallying Blade for Tyrion? That doesn't even make any sense. Spreading Plague just went to 6 mana. We're not even playing Innervate anymore. Coin got a buff. Coin is Innervate right now. We saw it last week. Pilot and Shredder dropped a Cut Purse. Cut Purse attacks, it now draws Innervates. That's a huge buff to what's going on in that situation. There are so many different things to account for that preparing for Trinity Series, it has to be a team format. You need 3 players that are able to compete and able to pull all this information together. If those players can't pull all that information together, that's where you end up in losing scenarios. Who wants to start 0-6 in Trinity Series? I don't know anybody who does. I don't want to get swept by Murloc Paladin. Should we run Murlocs in our own deck to counter anything can happen? That's not even in the metagame anymore. You take a look at Standard, so much has changed. Ungoros are here, there's dinosaurs, there's Lich Kings. This is supposed to be a whimsical world. We got Whispers of the Old Gods. We have the Lich King coming in here. Lich King isn't even in their deck. You saw it was created by Stonehill Defender. You've got to do something about it. I don't even know what to do anymore. Dan's losing his mind. I can't keep it up too much longer. The point I'm trying to get at here is that there's so many millions of things that can happen in Hearthstone. How could you possibly prepare for every single situation? You need to hone your instincts. You need to know what to do. You need to be able to rely on your teammates for the information necessary to make all these intricate decisions when you're sitting there. You think Deck Tracker's enough to keep track of all these things? You think Deck Tracker figures out how to sequence a Brawl and a Sleep with the Fishes and when to hold your Blood Razor? No, it's human beings that make that decision. Human beings are what make Hearthstone possible. We are witnessing teams of 3 human beings who have 3-pound masses of electric jelly inside their heads that can contemplate their own points in the universe, work together at this card game to solve these intricate problems. For some reason are competing in a $150,000 prize pool, which we get to watch for our own personal reasons. It's our own delight. They are gladiators inside of our arena.
Thanks, that's Blabberable. Let's go to game number 3 between Tempo Storm and Misfits.
Yeah, tied up at 1 apiece now.
Yeah, you know, I think you had a lot to say there.
I could have kept going.
And you could have kept going, man.
Dead Man's Handed twice.
We made it. We made it, buddy.
97 turn limit.
Actually, I missed some of that. Can you explain that one more time?
Where
this time with feeling. You know, I think the Warlock deck already got its job done by getting the win out. And now when you draw a Warrior deck out of the lineup from your opponent, you're able to counter it a lot more effectively this time, because the power of decks like or classes like Warrior and Mage is the fact that you can counter queue so strongly, but also it tends to get counter queued so hard as well.
Yeah.
This is where like Jade Druid would step in, which is why they banned it. And now, how does Tempo Storm react to that Warrior? Were people expecting Fatigue Warrior to come out?
Well, Priest would have been a good call as well in that situation. Priest is also taken out. I'm sorry, Priest is not taken out for Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm still has their Priest.
Are you sure? I think Priest was banned on both sides here.
I'm sorry. I just wrote this down terribly. It's all lost in the shuffle of discussion, which is very thoughtful discussion. I might add, by the way. Yeah, you're right. Druid and Priest. Why did I scratch that out? What am I doing?
All right, well, we're going to tune into Tempo Storm as they have Quest Mage, and that's one way to deal with infinite cards. And let's tune into this teams and see what they're thinking.
Pretty sure.
An additional card to draw Doomslayer.
No.
Like you have a 2 and 27 of getting Doomslayer. More than 1 card. I say that's reasonable odds. It's 1 in 13.5. And we obviously draw the card as well.
Okay, then it's perfect. Like if we get out the quest match, we don't mind it at all.
Yes.
Mm.
We're battle rages and it's not a different.
Yeah, we just passed, right? Wait, do we have to save Stonehill to copy it with Dead Man's Hand to draw it?
No, like if you get it correct card, then you should copy the card. Yeah.
So we expect Acolyte next turn, right? He doesn't have coin.
Right. Seems right. Oh, by the way, he didn't armor up, so he's got Battle Ridge. We probably shouldn't hit him ever.
I mean, he can take the. We have Arcanologist. He can take the damage himself next turn on turn 4. If he has.
Well, it's just the damage never matters.
Yeah, we'll make him work for it.
Hmm. Is there any chance we play Doomsayer in this matchup? I actually like to play Doomsayer right now because I don't want to, even if they have the Dirty Rat, I don't want him to Dirty Rat my good stuff.
Yeah, I think Doomsayer is great here.
Well, I mean, I just want to say, I think they only have about a 2% chance of getting Dirty Rat in their deck. So if we can think of any better place to play it, like maybe blocking their Elise on turn 5.
I hate this Acolyte.
If we just hit it once, then that's about limiting its card draw anyways, right?
Yeah, so with Doomsayer here, right? Like he can next turn he can play weapon.
No, you should just Doomsayer or not hit.
Yeah. Okay, good talk.
I think at least.
What did I say?
So what do we do now?
Dead Man's Hand.
We slam?
Slam. We Dead Man's Hand, right? Slam the Acolyte.
I would slam.
Or do we slam? No, we slam and then trade.
Want to find the Stonehouse or not?
Oh yeah, because that's the question.
We Dead Man's Hand first.
Yes, we Dead Man's Hand.
Like, is random card worse than slam, or isn't it?
Slam's just good cycle. Like we have 4 Stonehills, we draw Stonehills, we get Rat, we get there, right?
No, I would just try to find as much stones as possible.
Because if you draw more cards, it like dilutes the deck more, right? Well,
So
it doesn't matter actually.
right here. Yeah, and just like slam my on Acolyte and trade it into 3 and draw 3 cards.
Yeah. Dude, this is how you win this matchup. You just high roll with the Stonehills.
Yeah, like this on the way.
Come on, let's see some Stonehills. Yeah, imagine we just use them.
So we start. We just play double 2 drop, like very likely, right? So we start with Norris.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that if they play Dead Man's Hand on that hand, then it's probably got Elise or it's got Stonehill Defender or both in it.
Yeah, they've definitely got some kind of a.
Does Alice do anything to us?
No, it's just a 5/5.
We play Luthor here, right?
Yep.
I really like this line that Misfits took. To find more chances at Dirty Rat, they shuffled very early on, and they even kept the slam in so they can keep cycling to it. Stonehill Defender number 1, no Dirty Rat. It is pretty much up to the dirtiest of rodents to save them from the quest mage.
Trying to keep them out of the jungle.
It's hard. You don't have a bonus to discover at all because it's not a class-based card.
That's right. It's you heard George C say it. You basically have to high roll. Now the alternative would just be to include Dirty Rat. But given that this is just a pure anti-aggro deck, it looks like Dirty Rat doesn't really fit the main theme of what it's trying to do. In fact, Dirty Rat often compounds that issue because you'll see Bittertide Hydra come off of that earlier than you'd like to see it. Oftentimes you're planning for that card.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. Part of the reason why Dirty Rat doesn't see a lot of play these days is largely because one of the tools it's supposed to be good against is aggressive decks. To stop them in their tracks. 2/6 is overstated for 2. You don't mind bringing out their smaller, cheaper minions, and then you can remove it with big AoE sweeps for removal.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be good against Oh, but then if you hit Beardtide Hydra, you're in trouble. It's supposed to be good against combo decks too, but combo decks have largely fallen onto the Wade side. There's not many that exist, and the only things that you can really hit that are good against like combo-based decks are like Raws of the Chain, for example, against Priest or Quest Mage. You don't really run into Quest Mage that often. So
I think in Trinity that Dirty Rat's gonna be a bigger player.
Yeah,
but
I think in Trinity it might be better.
I think something that's like equally important to highlight was Trump sniffing out the Stonehill defenders being a possible shuffle-in. Elise can also fetch Dirty Rat via the pack that's there as well. So him pointing out that notion, I think, is really important as well, because they understand that that's what Misfits' game plan is here. So if that's the case, does Cold Light Oracle exacerbate that? Do you ever choose the Kabbalist Tome first? Is there ever a chance that the somewhat Archmage is a viable plan?
Well, I don't know, man. The human brain's only 3 pounds of electric jelly.
Contemplate some point in the universe. Let's listen to Misfits and hear what they're thinking as their hand is basically in shambles right now.
Oh.
Yeah. That
was second Oracle. Right.
Doesn't matter. So what can we do? We can Bloodtrace or Doomsayer. Or maybe like Doomsayer because like we can draw extra card with Battle Rage if you save it.
Yeah. But also this Oracle as well. You might like it's unlikely he plays it next turn, but it's also considered.
You might go Faint and play Sleep with the Fishes to get rid out of cards in hand.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think that makes more logical sense, right? I mean, when it's Sleep getting, but I actually maybe
like you need to get rid out of the cards, and obviously you cannot play Bring It On. You cannot play Shield Slam, so I think Sleep.
They're not going to develop anything, are they? So maybe playing Sleep's just better. Because Doomsday is also good with Battle Rage. So wait, do we ever like Razor hit the 2/2 and then Sleep?
Yeah, I would just hit a 2/1 and then play Sleep for like no.
Oh yeah.
For nothing.
We can hit 1/1, right? Or
well, you can't hit the 1/1.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, what am I talking about?
And Sleep. We play Sleep, right?
Yeah, just play it. Yeah, probably like pull up.
He wants to Demon Hands next turn, most likely. So then we can do what as what Trump said.
Ice Block and Nova?
I mean, he can just play Battle Rage next turn. He's setting up for Battle Rage next turn. Also.
If
so
you think he's gonna
be minion next turn too.
If you think he's gonna cast Dead Man's Hand this turn, that would mean that you think there's 2 Dead Man's Hands in that deck, which
I'm
isn't
actually
guaranteed.
thinking about block and double book, so that I don't know if we need to save a Nova for something he plays.
I think we're going to go so fast, and he doesn't run Grommash that we'll never really be in threat, where the Nova's just fine to
Yeah, he has a minion from Stonehill. He hasn't played yet, so block always happen, right?
Yeah, I think Block Nova is fine. The Frostbolt can pick apart any big minion for a turn. It's fine.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Okay. I think with this hand, with this deck especially, it's important to plan out the next turn since it's actually we're playing Solitaire. Is it next turn Intellect, Book, something like that? Maybe it's Cold Light since we got rid of a few cards.
This is the card he kept.
Oh yeah, so he copied. So he copied 2 Stonehill Defenders. He copied 2 Stonehill Defenders, 2 Slams, and a Sleep with the Fishes.
It's always not bad to play safe around Dirty Rat.
Well, it's bad in the case that they don't run Dirty Rat.
I mean, we can keep the Babbling Brook out before we draw the Simulacrum. Okay, so Novice can happen, right?
Yeah, the Novice looks fine.
Hmm.
You like my invention?
They have 8 cards in hand. If you wanted to overdraw, it shouldn't matter in this matchup, though.
I mean, I don't mind playing the Cold Light and then just Frostbolting something.
Sure. Sure. It makes
Yeah, I mean, that is the biggest card they're going to have, a 5-attack minion, really.
I think it's okay. The next turn we get the books out of our hand and
so we Frostbolt the 2/6, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow, there is a lot going on in this matchup. I mean, that's just pressure that gets burned. Tempo Storm would much rather see a Stonehill defender in that spot, but I mean, you're hearing the calls. Trump saying, I don't think they're running 2 Dead Man's Hand. Them accounting just for the Stonehill Defender and the Dirty Rat pull from it. The Dirty Rat pull is a good reason to hold on to Babbling Books to alleviate some of that pressure.
Right. It increases. Basically, you just want to protect the Archmage Antonidas and one Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah.
Because you can Simulacrum the 4th one through Molten Reflections and the Simulacrum himself. So you need to protect one Antonidas, one Sorcerer's Apprentice, and if they double Dirty Rat, which, by the way, 2nd Stonehill Defender card been revealed, so they know that they don't actually have any Dirty Rats unless they put it in their deck so far.
Oh, 2nd Glyph picked up as well.
So that should finish the quest right there and then. Ooh. A little expensive.
Yeah, those ones don't typically get cast. I could see it getting played here, though. Tempo Storm really isn't under much pressure. They still have some time.
Right.
And that does fuel the quest some. I mean, are they going to get an opportunity to cast that later on? Probably not.
True, and the health of the board tends to line up actually very well with Greater Arcane Missiles. You have a very good chance of sniping off the damage Blood of a Brave. Of course, it also could go disastrously by hitting the 2/6 and then going face for the rest.
Oh, you start as soon as it hit the 2/6, I was like, it's scripted. It's got to be.
I know. It just felt right to. Oh, here we go.
Oh, 3rd Stonehill Defender drawn. So that's one of the Dead Man's Hands. No dice.
Oh, and it's because there's actually so many taunts in Warrior. It's just biased towards taunt cards like Tar Lord, Direhorn Hatchling, Bloodhoof Brave, Alley Armorsmith.
The thing about this deck is that all the cards in here are essential to beating aggro. When you have Bring It On and you have Dead Man's Hand, those are cards that you just cannot play in the early stages of the game for the most part. You need to save them for the right moment, or you just don't need to play them at all. They just don't really matter that much. So if you wanted to put Dirty Rat in here, the question is then, what do you cut? Any of these cuts is going to weaken your matchup against an aggressive deck, which is what this deck is meant to beat. So that's a difficult question to answer. If you really wanted to beat Quest Mage and aggro, how do you make the space for it?
All right, well, let's see how Tempo Storm is, again, navigating this tough spot here. Navigating this, as right now, Misfits is in a tough spot and not able to really find a win condition.
Okay, it's the 2nd Shield Slam, so now there's only 3 missing cards from their deck from the last game.
He's not hitting face. Interesting.
Yeah, so we can play the book first.
Book. Similar crown.
Double AKI. Yeah, soon, for sure.
And we can squeeze in a Frost Nova just to dump a hand.
Right, so we can glyph as well.
Do we glyph?
Yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do for 2 mana? Definitely glyph.
Sure. Spellbender.
Yeah, just pick up Bender and Nova, I think. We have a guaranteed next turn, right? Do we?
No.
Double AI?
Let's see. Well, I mean, the guarantee.
We have 3 outs.
The tough part is getting the time warp out.
We have two Imager, Molten Imager in the last 7 cards. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and another, if we draw Simulacrum, we still need to wait another turn, but I don't think it matters. And also we have Arcane Intellect.
Okay, so this is actually a tough turn coming up. We're going to have 10 cards in our hand. So I think we have to start off with Primordial Glyph and the Spellbender, and then
Yeah. Just to dump the hand. To pick up whatever that dumps the hand, what do you guys think?
You can do this.
Yeah, sure, but
they didn't leave the order.
Wait, do we like slam the Babbling Book, then do that?
We can do Ghoul Devil Blue Flare. Like, I don't mind killing our board. It's not an issue.
Yeah, of course.
This is some weird turn.
You can roll 1 extra here.
We got at least.
How could you draw
over slam? You could just slam the Babbling Book before the group.
Oh, that's not it. We can still play it and ping it. But do we play it? We don't need to play it. We can glimpse and Spellbender and just Arcane Intellect.
Sure.
So. Counter spell.
Yeah, just something that's playable.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Dump. Draw. And we're fine, right? Do I even play this? We don't need to play this now.
Yeah, we want to save it in case he finds Dirty Rat next turn. Yeah, I agree.
Sure.
We saved. Yes.
Wait, is there okay? Is there any merit to ever playing the Loot Hoarder because having another Molten Reflection is good?
We'll be able to draw it next turn, I think, because we have another AI. So we'll finish quest. We'll
we
draw
also have
another.
Simulacrum. He can never rig us unless he
Wait,
gets
do we need to play the Loot Hoarder then, since we have another Simulacrum?
No. I don't want him to Dirty Rat or
next turn no
Anton.
matter what. Yeah, we have
If
an
he
next
gets,
turn no matter what.
yeah, if he rig our Anton, that's not
Got it.
happy.
Okay.
So a couple of things that we picked up on.
Wait. Oh, okay. Go on.
Right, so Rizu. Temple's playing 2 Simulacrums. That's really big information for at least the viewers at home as insurance for their combo, which puts them deeper into the hole if they don't have card draw, but helps reaffirm their win condition. The second thing is, I feel like there's a guaranteed win last turn again, because if you're able to, at least as long as you can finish the quest, which with Cabal's Tome I think you always can, you should be able to draw 4 cards, and then on the even if Molten Reflection was the bottom 2 cards, you guarantee draw on your extra turn that you took.
Yeah.
The only problem was finishing the quest.
The conditional there is just drawing cards from Cabal's Tome that you can play.
Right.
That's the only conditional to that turn. So,
And for them, they feel like it's more guaranteed by doing it.
The thing about it is that this somewhat prevents it in the instance where they see another Cabalist Tome or they see 6-cost spells off of this. They decided to wait a turn simply so that they could always cast everything off the Cabalist Tome and cast the Time Warp as well. Yeah. My question is, you give them another chance to draw Stonehill Defender. What are the odds that you fail with the 4 discount versus your opponent actually getting the Dirty Rat? I think you go for it.
It's a 1 out of 11 that if they didn't have it in the hand. So it's the 9% there, plus the whatever chance it is to get Dirty Rat, which I don't know the exact math on.
It's way too much math, and all I know is that this is way more than enough damage.
Yeah, certainly interesting. And Quest Mage, once again,
it's a tough deck to pilot.
Gets over the hump, but I mean, Misfits never really had a fighting chance without Dirty Rat, and this is just going to be game over. So Tempo Storm matches and holds serve. How is Misfits going to respond?
That's a good question here. Mage is pulling them up 2 games to 1 in this set, and in last year's standing, when you win with the deck, you keep it, and the losing deck is out of contention. The first team to get to 6 wins takes the set, so well on their way, but still plenty in the lineup for Misfits here. Quest Mage does have some counters.
That's right. We looked at Hunter as one of them, perhaps being one of the big things, but like we said, Hunter in the very beginning was a big loss there, and so what do you answer if you're Misfits and you don't have the Hunter remaining? What else is good against it?
More aggression is kind of where I would tend to sit here. Maybe they have Dirty Rats teched into another deck. I keep mentioning it throughout this broadcast, but Zalay tweeted out a deck list that included 2 Dirty Rats in Jade Druid. And if you want my opinion on it, that's the way to beat that matchup. I think that Eater Secrets can get the job done, but I think you lack the pressure to get the job done. I think going straight for the throat on Archmage Insanitis is a better way to get it done.
It's true. They also have Paladin. Paladin can put on a lot of pressure on the Quest Mage and force them to have all of the right tools to freeze and remove, and then you can always threaten with big pressure and big cards that they can't really remove.
Plus, Sifka is a brewer, and he loves Warlock. I would not put outside the realm of possibility that he has Dirty Rat in Warlock.
Hey, it would be interesting. But without access to Hunter, it does feel a lot less guaranteed that you can kill this mage. And Quest Mage is one of the most powerful decks in terms of consistency because of how much card draw is in that deck, and because you have redundancy to your win condition with Simulacrums and Molten Reflections, which apparently they've doubled down on. They have 2 Simulacrums, which is unusual.
That's where the outright aggression really matters versus Mage, is that the mage opponent isn't always going to have Doomsayer. They're not always going to have answers in the early game. We saw that Tempo Storm even included Frostbolt, which is a fairly unconventional choice right now. They're paying specific attention to aggressive matchups. They need just that little bit more time. Any consistent pressure is going to have game against this deck, but can you get something that's even better and save those aggressive matchups where they count even more? It's a difficult question to answer, and it's a tough puzzle to piece together. I imagine that this isn't a deck that Sifka would have taken lightly or would have ignored across 6 different decks in their lineup, and certainly you expect Quest Mage coming into this event.
Yeah, I have to imagine the same. Looks like PokerVox is switching seats with Sifka. Like we kind of alluded to before, you guys enjoyed the bromance of the past with Life Coach and JJ. These guys have something else going too, with them always regularly meeting up, playing ladder together, competing in tournaments together, winning HGG together, and now apparently sharing glasses of water over a nice Trinity Series match.
Well, I mean, you mentioned that George C was dressed well. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah,
Sifka's wearing a blazer.
Did they all go to the same prom and didn't invite us?
Sifka's always snacking too. That's like just one of his things.
Yeah,
he's always got to have
sharp.
something.
Looking sharp. I like that. You know, it's kind of like one of those things where in sports, for a while, a lot of the players were not allowed to dress however they want when the matches weren't. But then, you know, when they were also on the bench, they started dressing up very nicely, and it was a very good look. It's like, dang, a lot of these guys look super clean and professional now. It would be cool to see some players also continue to dress up. George is being one of them. Sifka also dressing up now. So
I'm a big fan of
moderately impressed.
I'm a big fan of classic fashion.
That's right. That's right. Especially men's fashion's become pretty timeless, I think, over time. So
once I get into like really good shape too, I want to be able to wear the bracers.
I'm really proud of you, man. Admiral's lost a lot of weight from a year and a half ago.
Only 125 pounds. It's not that much. Big deal. More than some people who are watching.
Almost one entire Frodan. You almost lost one me. It's crazy,
I don't
man.
know if that's a good
I'm
or
so proud
bad
of you,
thing.
dude. I'm so proud of you.
I don't want to lose.
No
a Frodan.
memes. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
Let's go to Murloc Paladin versus the Mage. I think this is the best chance, especially if you're playing more of an aggressive look deck. We have Grimskill Chum coming into Misfits hand.
I'm just a big fan of Chum in general. I think when you lose some of the defensive potential of War Leader, that card counts for a little bit more. But I just like it in general. I just think 2 1s for 1 are good cards, and especially when they have an effect. And this has an effect across most of the deck.
Is it really a 2-1 for 1, though? You look at its battle cry and its implications of allowing you to snowball the board even further. That's where the real power becomes.
Yeah, like Voodoo Doctor.
Well, no, that's not really it is actually a 2-1 for 1. But you're looking at like Abusive Sergeant in the past. It was actually way more than just a 2-1 that gave +2. It let you snowball the board.
Yeah, unless you were a Hunter deck, in which case you just 2-1 for 1 and you just started attacking. You're like, yeah, he hero powered on 2. Play the 3-2.
Yeah, that's true. I remember Hunter kept Abusive Sergeant on 1.
Oh yeah,
just to play a 2-1 on.
I remember looking over data. And turn 1 Abusive Sergeant yielded like a 64% win rate in Hunter over the span of like several hundred games that I had in my deck tracker. Yeah. I was like, what the heck? I was like, I didn't even realize I played Abusive Sergeant on 1 this much.
It's really important for some of the those decks to have that early game curve. Now, Misfits mulliganed away one of those Inquisitors, despite having War Leader and Chum in it. And I think it's because they recognize that they need to have that big power spike card with Gentle Megasaur.
Yeah.
And a few other ways to really bolster their board. Maybe even another War Leader would have been fine. Valfin Inquisitor to shut off the ability to hero power, but that's kind of playing pessimistically.
Well, I think the bigger one is that they're trying to isolate the Murloc War Leader. They've seen Tempo Storm's Frostbolt.
I like that. I like that, actually.
So being able to buff the Murloc War Leader and have it survive for turn from Frostbolt, and there's the Cold Light Seer draw. I was just about to allude to this. Being able to then buff it afterwards or maybe play a defensive secret, also a big benefit to that.
Yeah, and this also opens up the ability for War Leader to get the trade and then force your opponent into an awkward position.
Yeah. There's a lot going on with the turn 1
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Grimskill Chum doesn't have to be the first one you play. In fact, oftentimes I think you should be holding it to try to isolate a better choice in your hand.
You know, stark contrast to what we were talking about before, which is playing a 2-1 on turn 1.
Well, sure. If your opponent has the coin, I think it's a different story as well. I think if Tempo Storm had the coin, you would have seen the Chum on turn 1. Now double Chum. Whew.
All right, well, they have some really powerful Murloc synergies going on. Let's tune into Misfits and hear what they're discussing.
This player on Frostbolt ping. Like a Seer in the middle to play around.
One of the US match.
Sure, but Frostbolt's a thing.
Okay, they didn't have Frostbolt.
I know, but the odds of them drawing it now are like so high. Like you look at it, there are 23 cards left. They've just drawn 3 out of 23, and it's not even just a straight 3 out of 23. It's higher odds than that if you count each individual draw.
And then video, how much? Like they do like secret and video.
There we go. 10.
Just has to be Seer in the middle. It's like any other play is indefensible. Just has to go Seer in the middle.
Okay, let's play Seer and go face and put it in the middle.
Seer in the middle, yeah.
I agree with that. I think the Frostbolt is too scary here.
Wait, why do we see her in the middle? Because it gets buffed.
The Blizzard is not bad, just to give us
Yeah.
some time.
Agree, right? All agree. Blizzard.
Yeah, and then we can just throw out Loot Hoarder this turn.
Yeah.
Looks good.
So the most damage we can take this next turn is 20.
Oh, don't
Which
count
is a lot.
damage. No.
It's kind of important too.
No.
It's 20 or it's 19 with 2 of the choices. But it looks like they don't have the dinosaur.
Why would we trade your free feeder?
Yeah, there's no reason to trade. We just need to push.
I mean, Meteor's a thing, right? So if we trade the 3/3 buff, because Meteor of Glyph, so if we buff the middle guy.
Trading is nonsense.
Trading is.
Really? You think? A whole board dies to Meteor.
Where do we put a blessing?
Like, I don't think on.
Because think about it, if you blessing the 3/5, they have Meteor kills both sides, right?
They can have polymorph.
Sure, but if blessing the middle guy, trade the 3/3. We play around Meteor clearing the board.
Like blessing on Warrior and go face.
This side is really bad against Meteor.
Right. And Church, like against Meteor, it's still okay. Like the only issue is no items there, and against that we made it.
It just feels really bad.
Do we start with? I
You
think
can
we
trade
tried
the Loot Hoarder, yeah.
Loot Hoarder into
4/3? We're never killing the War Leader, right?
Probably.
So I guess Glimpse.
Yeah, Glyph looks fine. Potion of Poly?
We take Polymorph and we Frost Nova.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
I don't think that's great, but I don't have other play.
Yep.
All right, the pressure is mounting, but Misfits missed the train on the Gentle Megasaurs that just came into the hand here. You can tell that Tempo Storm just stuck to praying that their opponent does not have the correct answers, and they're so far from their quest. 0 out of 6. This is kind of why we thought the Murloc Paladin was a good choice, given the options at Misfits' disposal, because you have to pressure the quest mage. Don't give them time to be able to assemble pieces.
Yeah, that's really the big issue here. Again, aggressive decks can and will get checked by quest mage at times, but the key is just keep them from drawing cards. If you keep them under wraps, that's where they struggle. And so that is a delicate dance, but you heard Sifka and Pokrovok say it best. Trading is nonsense in this matchup. You don't really care what their range of options are. What you really care about is just how you get the most damage through in the face of all of those options. But that's a huge draw from Tempo Storm. This board is going bye-bye.
Yeah, Blizzard Doomsayer, very, very powerful combination here. Unless they want to Frost Nova Doomsayer, which lets them play Potion of Polymorph, and I don't know how that would change anything. The cards that you're afraid of are like Crazed Alchemist, so it wouldn't change anything.
The thing to think about is when does Potion of Polymorph become its most powerful? It's usually like into turn 8 against a Tyrion. Like maybe Tyrion can pressure you out. Yeah. It's a very unlikely scenario. I think the bigger one here is that Frost Nova is a more powerful card than Blizzard in this spot because eventually they'll just need to free up the mana for time.
And that is a tough turn for Misfits. They were feeling the momentum. but it's completely shifted away. And this is one of the challenges. But here's the thing. They have Hydraulic.
Well, I'm looking at the Megasaur. Like, could you maybe go for the Death Rattle plants?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was thinking Hydrologist first for the Eye for an Eye, and then Megasaur for the plants, and then try to use a weapon to clean up the rest of the damage, and then pressure for the win.
There's a lot of different options I think they could have taken here, but the fact that Tempo Storm has no secret out, I think favors the Rallying Blade in this spot. Tempo Storm's under pressure. Let's see how they get.
I don't believe that's possible.
So start with Colite. Most likely Colite block, but Colite first. What do you guys think?
I sign off on Cold Light, yeah.
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay.
Cold Light. Yeah, block and potion. Next turn we...
By the way, I'll throw out a devil's advocate that it might not be necessary to play block this turn, but we don't really have the mana to do anything else.
I think this is the best turn to play block since we there's no way you want to play the sim yet.
Yeah,
okay. The sim copies randomly and could get the novice.
Yeah, and I don't want novice. I thought about that. Maybe should we want a novice or not? I don't want novice.
We have Cold Light Oracles. We have maybe even Babbling Book is fine to copy instead of the novice if we want a complete quest.
Scalebane Blade or something.
Yeah, I would like Shum, Hydrologist, and Megas. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I would jam the Hydro as soon as you play the Chum, regardless of the buff, because it looks like you don't have 2 Murlocs then.
Sure.
If it lands on it.
Hydrovar here.
Yeah, I mean we could go Chum. Unlucky. We just pick it. Just pick Getaway. Straight up.
Why?
Because of Eye for an Eye. Now he ropes it. He pretty much knows it's not Eye for an Eye, right?
We'll go there. And wait. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to play it.
Move quickly.
That's unlucky.
Anyone?
Just buff, right?
+1/+1, right?
Yeah, just take it, yeah.
Do we go face?
Yes.
Yes. Just go, just hit him. Alright, so that's block.
Go for a Frost Nova line. Because if it is Eye for an Eye, we just don't have the time, do we? Second Rallying Blade will pop us at 1.
This can always happen, right?
No, because there is a possible line of Apprentice, Reflection, Nova.
What to do?
If you think that's possibly right.
We can Reflection next turn if Ultrasound Apprentice stay alive.
So you want to play the sim instead and hope we high roll the Apprentice, or we go for the consistent line?
Up to you guys completely.
I think the consistent line is fine, because if we can't kill the Apprentice, we have time.
Yeah. So double Engineering and Nova?
No, I wanted to go Apprentice, Molten, Nova.
Time runs out on me.
And hopefully we just finish quest next turn, and you can't kill all the Apprentices. Because the other line, I feel like we just don't win. Right, because we have to beat Eye for an Eye as well.
Which they may or may not have.
This is one of the crazier lines I've seen from a quest mage. I think historically we haven't seen people be brave enough with quest mage, and then now we're seeing people be really bold, playing around a secret that doesn't actually exist in Misfits' hand.
Yeah, and George C was worried about Tempo Storm reading this as no Eye for an Eye because they waited so long. And this ties into earlier what Sifka said about if you want your opponent to buy into a line of thought, don't give them information. Let them find their way into it. You have to have very specific reasoning for your opponent to believe that your action will cause them to believe something. And right now, that dynamic doesn't exist. And so Tempo Storm goes for the risk here on the Sorcerer's Apprentices. They could have gotten in the Simulacrum as well, but the emergency button for them is they draw on a freezes to hold off the board. They find the other Sorcerer's Apprentices, and they get there.
But now they know that Eye for an Eye isn't in the hand because they would have attacked with the weapon instead of Eye for an Eye.
Unfortunately, these do not really help them. Maybe an extra draw off the Loot Hoarder, but what do they find to get out of this spot? I mean, they're losing their Sorcerer's Apprentices here. This is a nightmare scenario for Tempo Storm.
Well, how far is their quest from completion? That's another thing to consider as well. 2 out of 6.
Oof.
If they were able to finish the quest, that was also another possibility.
Ooh. I'm very interested in the line of play because it does play around eye for an eye the way that they tried to do this, but their play doesn't get around just their opponent having a weapon and attacking. And I think the likelihood of eye for an eye is higher. I don't really know, though. In my experience of the matchup, I just pretend it doesn't exist and hope I get there. That fails about 60% of the time. So now they're just trying to turn it into like a bad control deck, which that can't get there sometimes. I mean, they do. There is a world where they just chain Cabalist Tomes and Ice Blocks forever. That is minuscule at best, but it could happen.
I think Misfits is going to get there because they have Spellbreaker now to anytime Tempo Storm feels like they're going to be safe behind a freeze, they have Spellbreaker to break through.
I mean,
the only question is, can they die on the opposite end?
It requires the miracle here from Tempo Storm. They quite literally need to chain into Ice Blocks for about the rest of the game.
Let's listen to Misfits. They're going to try to find a way to make sure they don't throw this one.
Panthers go fast and play boom. Maybe.
Okay. What? Do we just like?
It wasn't
Bone Mare Kodo. Do we just like Bone Mare Kodo pass? If it kills the Bone Mare before the other thing, we just get a bigger taunt.
Yeah, I would Kodo as well, man.
Yeah. I mean, he pretty much knows it's Kodo, right?
You're not playing this, right?
What?
You're not playing this.
No.
No, this one.
Because of Kodo.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I know. I was just asking.
Yeah.
Right. We can collide. Simulacrum doesn't really do much now.
We might want to wait
feel
for
like-
apprentices for the simulacrum.
True. But we can still collide Loot Hoarder and block, I guess.
Seems good as a basic plan.
What do you think, Zane?
Let's start with the Collide then.
I also want to dump this guy too.
Sure, I think we'll have the mana to do it.
Yeah.
Wait, eventually, let's go Oracle first.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter about the repentance.
Runs out on me.
So I guess-
Doomsayer is pointless at the moment.
Yeah, this probably happened.
Yeah.
This and I want to dump this guy.
Great.
He never pop out that one.
Yeah, I think so.
There's no way we can get our minions low enough. Yeah. It's unlucky. We're playing Chum to test for... Oh, it doesn't really matter, right? It's evening. It's irrelevant. Yeah.
That's like, we should program with 9-9, right? And value trade with 8-5 to have more.
Yeah, I agree with that. But
then we can silence
this one.
Or don't we? Maybe we should. We will play.
We don't silence it. We don't silence it.
Attack, play Hydro, just it's also like.
Yeah, we just play all our Murlocs. Wait, hold up. Do you like Chum, Hydro, Cold Light, Megasaur?
We can wait or.
Eye for an eye.
Yeah,
It's got to be eye. Yeah.
You try to read here?
It did the 2-2-N.
Yeah. 2-2.
Like Charm,
Cold Light.
Fear, and Megasaur, I guess. Yeah.
Monk Mega.
All right, so there's a little bit of a correction on our end, at least on my end. I think you're the one who caught it. The Sorcerer's Apprentice that was played was the only copy that was in the hand. There's still another one in the deck, and that's because they used double Molten Reflection. They still have these double Simulacrum, which might be able to get it there.
So here was the game plan for Tempo Storm at this point. It's to draw the other Sorcerer's Apprentice. Once they hit that, it's activate Quest. Once they hit the Quest, it's the pseudo Archmage go off,
Right.
which that involves playing 2 Simulacrums and the Sorcerer's Apprentice, then activating Time Warp, and then untapping with Archmage Intinitus, a spell for free, 3 Fireballs, live with an Ice Block, finish the game. That is a colossal task, but they did successfully play around Eye for an Eye with this line, but what they did was open themselves up to an immense amount of pressure this way. So the option here was the Jin draw for them on the following turn, or play for this strange line and hope to have enough defense to get to that point.
Right, and now even though they have Ice Block, Misfits does actually have Eye for an Eye, and because they went on a smaller board, will be able to pop at 1, or pop the Ice Block at 1, and effectively set up the lethal that way.
Well, the Hydrologist was really a sort of a ticking point here, where the Tempo Storm game plan did also fail in the face of being able to pop the second Ice Block, or third Ice Block for that matter, at that life total, and also have Eye for an Eye. They did need to draw the right cards as well, but they were put into a really tough situation, and I have to commend their experience and their thought in this particular game plan, because this was not easy to execute, and you have to have experience to really even craft this game plan to begin with.
I think they're calculating right now the correct way to play into the Ice Barrier in case it is.
Yeah, it's super easy. Just have the Megasaur here. They're just double checking.
The 8 health into it.
They pretty much
or vaporize.
Yeah, they pretty much had everything wrapped.
Yeah, if they had vaporized, they could actually flipped the Bone Mare and then pop that one again.
Could also flip the 2/3. They had a lot of options for how to perfect this, but the big one is that they do have Eye for an Eye, and that squelches Tempo Storm's remaining out.
How do you get out of these kinds of situations if you are put at 1 as a mage? Is there a way you can get out?
Tsunami, Earthquake.
Oh boy.
Bottom right. You know, there's some ways to get out of the game. There's just not really many ways to get in it.
Well, there's this way. This Arcane Explosion finishes the quest, and then Tempo Storm can maybe use Cabal's Tome to stall for time.
Yeah, their idea here is simply to ignore that Eye for an Eye exists, because they no longer have a way to play against that. Maybe like freeze a board in a weird situation, isolate with an Ice Barrier out, hope to take an attack, but I don't think Misfits is falling for that.
I mean, this is a cute play. You play Doomsayer and then take the extra turn and guarantee the pop. This is actually a play that you would do very often with Giants Quest Mage, because you'd be able to set up the Giants this turn and then still have your Ice Block not popped if you're able to do it correctly.
Yeah, but here, pretty darn simple. Check for just about anything you want. I mean, Archmage probably has to slam this turn. Oh, maybe a Simulacrum at first, because their other alternate plan here is just like control the game with Archmage. This was honestly like a multi-dimensional plan that Tempo Storm had crafted here, and it almost worked.
It almost worked because they just needed a little bit more life, or Eye for an Eye to not exist.
Misfits needed to draw Hydrologist to really have a strong spot here. Otherwise, Tempo Storm would just untap with 2 Fireballs, and the Archmage Intinitus to fight for the board. This would have been a good situation for them.
But how unlikely is it to not hit Eye for an Eye on either Hydrologist? Because they already played one.
They got to draw the second one, though. That's really the plan here. Tempo Storm's getting through their deck before Misfits is. The Arcane Intellect here is, again, meant to service as the pseudo combo at the end, where they hit the last remaining Sorcerer's Apprentice and launch all the Fireballs at once.
Here we go. Let's go ahead and tune in to what is most likely the last turn of this crazy Game 4.
We just spam the board. So what is it? Curator, Tidecaller, plus or some, or obviously some.
Then Doom. Yeah, I would play great.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Is there any way we lose? No. I guess they could freeze the board somehow and then heal themselves, but they don't have enough cards to do it. Yeah, you just play Tidecaller Hunter, right?
Yeah,
How is it even possible here? Like, do they have enough slots to fit in, like...
I don't know. Let's just ping face. Oh, good play.
Play Tome. We don't have any outs, I think.
But the Tome has no outs either. Because we
Okay.
haven't done this turn. Let's go for the Apprentice first, and then play the book as well, and then maybe there's something.
By the book, did you mean the tome?
Just the book.
I wonder if we might have won if we didn't play Intellect. Oh no, because that could be... Well, if it's Noble Sacrifice, we might have won without the Intellect blind.
Yeah, well, let's just crossball and see what the secret was.
Sure. Oh,
We actually
okay.
had it.
Rah, rah.
Yeah.
Good talk. Good talk. Thanks,
Okay.
guys. Very helpful.
The other side of Quest Mage.
Yeah, it's a deck that wins off of inevitability, and at the same time, because of the way Eye for an Eye works and interacts with secrets, you can't have Ice Block activate on your turn for quite some time now. So by having Eye for an Eye go through that, Mage ends up killing themselves on their turn by doing any kind of damage to you.
Can't break those cuffs.
And you can't activate through like any kind of 0 damage spell or hero power. So without any healing, that's when you end up struggling with Quest Mage.
Yeah, and watching it struggle is something I hate to see.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things I hate to see.
That's right. One of the things that we hate to see, too, is the fact that TJ Sanders was here as the host of Season 1. Unfortunately, he has now moved on to bigger and brighter things. He's transcended Trinity. And for people who don't know too much about TJ, or maybe they watched all of TJ, we have a little video in memory of him. Always in our hearts, TJ. Let's get back on track, shall we? Game number 5 is coming up here as we remember our somber comrade who has fallen in battle and return to what's actually at stake here. You know, all jokes aside, this is starting to heat up a little bit. We've had a matching of Sirs. We've had Tempo Storm start off with a win, and then Misfits responded to the Zoo Demon Warlock with a Fatigue Warrior, anti-aggro style. Then Quest Mage came into play, and now we've killed the Quest Mage with Murloc Paladin. What does Tempo Storm come swinging back with, especially because they've considered not bringing Shaman into the mix, which is normally one of the better decks against the Murloc Paladin?
You know, I'm looking at Warrior here. I imagine Warrior is equipped with something to handle very aggressive decks, probably akin to the way that Warlock was anticipated to be. So when they run that strange-looking demon Warlock build, I imagine they have to have something that's dedicated to defeating aggro in this situation. And to me, that looks like it's the Warrior build.
Warrior can be built in several ways, like we mentioned. Pyro Warrior is certainly an interesting idea right now, considering how it's lost a step with Fire War Axe. Sorry, that's an understatement. It's gotten a pretty significant setback with with the Fire War Axe nerf, and has since shifted their ideology. Some just play 3-mana Fire War Axe and don't change too much. Some have started putting Prince Keleseth into their decks and playing more mid-range builds into the Pirate Warrior arsenal. And with Trump coming out here,
oh boy,
it doesn't look like it will be Warrior. It's going to be something different.
They could just be matching Paladins. Like maybe Control Paladin is really an option here as
Trump
well.
Likes that a lot.
The other thing too is you can figure with Curator, you're able to fetch Beasts. Maybe your pair of Beasts happens to be Hungry Crabs or something.
Wow, imagine that. Teching Murloc Paladin to beat other people's Murloc Paladins, but
or just
having Hungry Crab target your own Vilefin Inquisitor hero powers? No,
or just to beat up Murlocs.
Or just beat up Murlocs, yeah. I mean, you never know. I mean, so some of these tech inclusions are usually very interesting with what the logic is behind them, and you can afford a throwaway deck, in my opinion. You can always have like one that's just specifically teched to beat 2 or 3 of the most popular decks, but just lose terribly against everything else.
We saw that in the finals last season. There was the Hunter deck that was meant to basically dismantle Freeze Mage because of how strong it was when you had a 6-deck format. That deck alone had 2 copies of Flare in it, had 2 copies of Desert Camel as well. It was meant to dismantle mages. That was basically its only goal. It was, for all intents and purposes, a throwaway deck.
All right, well,
one job.
Yeah, one job, one opportunity, one pillowcase.
Gosh, when RDU karaoke'd that song, it just...
Yeah, there was this after HCT Shanghai when, unfortunately, Radu was crushed in his hopes and dreams by Kalento to finish 5th and not barely miss top 4 for Worlds. We took him that night to karaoke, and man, did he sing his heart out. And he rocked out hard to the Eminem 8 Mile song.
Yeah, and boy, did that song... I do not remember it being that long.
Or passionate. It was very passionate. But unlike Eminem and 8 Mile, RDU will get another shot eventually.
Oh, yeah. He definitely will.
In the meantime,
8 Mile never gets another chance. That movie was terrible.
You take that back. All right, so Murloc Paladin Mirror, is that really the best deck the Tempo Storm have, or do they have something up their sleeves to give them the edge?
They also just might be quite confident in their combat mechanism. You know, navigating the early stages of combat here is definitely a big deal. When you see Cold Light Seers from your opponent, maybe that's a tell of how their deck scales, and you feel, I can just fight that. I have bigger stuff.
True.
Do you feel that the matchup snowballs too far to control with something like that? Do you feel that you have Cold Light Seers, you just want to match it? Maybe they do have a weird Hungry Crab tech. I don't really know, but fighting the mirror with fighting a matchup with a mirror matchup, I'm always down for, because that's in effect the same thing as a throwaway deck. You're willing to just simply fight the mirror match.
Yeah, and unless you have ways to aggressively close out the game with direct damage or big combo damage, mirrors tend to favor the slightly slower version. Yeah. So let's go ahead and listen in with Tempo Storm as they're already debating their crucial turn 1 play.
I mean, I like to coin Rolling Blade next turn. What do you think, Trump?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the play, right?
All right, so Tide Color, yeah?
Oh. Even if we get rigged, I think it's still better for the late board. Like we can coin Rolling Blade into
unlucky.
Hydrologist Top Secret. That's definitely not happy.
Yeah, coin Blade every time.
Sure, and we're blading the 3/1, I presume?
Yes.
Okay.
we definitely wrote this right. Yeah.
I mean, the odds of us getting Get Down Redemption like super high.
Best.
It's Sack, right?
Is it?
Yeah. We want the dudes. Like, we could draw Megasaur. Like, if you get Kodo, we just get a 2-2 back in a hand. That's just weird.
I think we do Blessing. Yeah, that's.
I mean, think about it. If you take Noble Sack.
One is pretty good with Tarim, right? So we do Noble Sack. Very, very.
Yes, we go Noble Sack. We can go Blessings and Blade, Hero Power, Tarim, right? We don't want to have to, like, Blade Hydrologist on 5. It just seems a bit dodgy. Also, Blessing of Kings is a good card in turn 4.
Well, it would seem to me that we go Chum Hydrologist.
Is there any reason we save the Trump for Blessing of King or Megasaur on turn 5?
I think we will be too far behind by then. In fact, we're probably already too far behind and have already lost, but...
So should we hit this turn then? Is another question.
You're hoping that it's Getaway Kodo, and then we can maybe grab some board control?
Yeah, I think we have to rely on some hopes.
Yeah, if you hit and it's Getaway Kodo, then we have Hydrology. Pick something like Get Down or a Redemption, so then it would be better than playing the Jump.
Right, so is that the line? Hit?
Yeah, hit first.
Okay,
hit first. Just to check. Yeah.
Wait. We really don't save anything for like turn 5 or anything? I don't know.
It'll be too late. I think we have to Chum Hydrologist. Yep. I have to pick a secret, so let me know.
Sure, go for it. And then we need to find something off of the
Noble Sack or Getaway?
Redemption.
Okay.
It's better because if we find the Righteous Protector, we'll have something to do.
We definitely Blessing, right? And we Blessing a hit, right? It's not obvious. We might have...
It isn't obvious. No, it isn't obvious.
Oh yeah, it's obvious, okay.
Wait, what about this? Wait.
By the way, it's not obvious the way how...
That's not.
Could we, like, trade the 3-4 into 3-3?
I would have 6-3 and 3-2. I guess that's right. Or is it like we could Megasaur?
We could trade the 3-4 into the 3-3, switch the 2-1, make that trade Hero Power, and not care about Consecrate at all. That's like a really high risk play though.
Yeah, with Blessing of Kings, the 2-2.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Breaker, whatever.
I would Alchemist. I would just play. I wouldn't care about Consecrate here.
You can make a 6-4, and if they play Megasaur, you can switch it to 4-6 and value.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
True Silver is a little bit weaker because then you have one less toughness, but I don't think the True Silver.
I don't think that matters. It's not relevant.
I agree with that. It's also better against Consecrated. You have one. And also against.
Goodness, Sivka's a monster.
Yeah, it's a really brilliant read. Just like exactly accounting for the Gentle Megasaur because they've been able to snowball the lead so much. And this gets them so far ahead.
Boy.
That's another possibility too. Megasaur also really potent here.
Just the follow-up is good. I mean, they're going to keep 2 Murlocs on board.
Yeah, or potentially have a bigger board for Sunkeeper Tarim if they get the Spores as a death rattle. So, and there's even like good trades too with Divine Shield or +1/+1 or a Poisonous or Spores.
The attacker's initiative
plus health,
I think, is really demonstrated in this particular game. The player who's able to dictate the first trade oftentimes can dictate the rest of them if they have any fuel to go with it. And since these decks are basically purely designed to have that early game synergy, wow, I'm really surprised to go with Megasaur. Since they're pretty much designed to have that early game synergy, what ends up happening is that attacker's advantage snowballs throughout the rest of the game.
I think the reason why you adapt is because I can only think of 2 adapts that are bad, which is Stealth and Can't Be Targeted. I guess Taunt also makes...
So that is pretty bad.
So that would be the 3 out of the 10 bad choices, but 7 of them actually can help you with plus attack, plus health, Divine Shield, +1/+1. Like all of them help you in some capacity. Wind Fury
just pushes so much damage at that point.
So I think when you have an almost guaranteed adapt, that would be very good. I like this. Plus the more power it sets up on board.
I'm always down for more power.
And Tempo Storm is pretty much dead in the water here. They took a gamble by taking the mirror. Although their opponents just got to go first, and I think you mentioned it, you know, being able to have that turn 1 advantage, dictate the trades, put them in a great spot. 6-10, or 6-11, 14, 17, 18 damage I count right now. Let's go ahead and tune into Misfits. They're trying to find a way to close the game guaranteed in 2 turns.
Steeds, he goes, we could just switch it, right?
Yeah, then we switch. Or if
then we don't have lethal.
Then 50, we are 1-off, right? If
we should just make the trade, right? We should just go face front.
Or you could switch the 5-7 trade with the Mega Sargo.
Nah. I think Tarim's just better.
7. And then if they carry him, then you play your own Tarim, clear and win. Okay, that's what I would do. Switch to 5-7 trade the Mega Star.
I mean, there's like literally no way we lose this game.
Same list.
That's a good information.
Almost. They're running a little more aggressive, but basically.
So Tarim only play?
Yeah. Hopefully there's no Bone Mirror.
I mean, if we see Bone Mirror, we know what his plan.
Yeah. Bottom right, buddy. I think we need to review that, because that was a wonderful turn and it looked... I think Tarim was just better.
Misfits takes the game, but it seems like they're still hard at discussion right now, as they're debating a lot between the lines. But they got there, and they're currently leading 3-2, and this first time they're able to break serve as Tempo Storm drops 2 in a row, and that gamble that they took with the Murloc Paladin Mirror did not work out.
And sometimes it just won't. I mean, that's part of the risk you take. And if you're at an even set and you're the one queuing up, maybe they don't feel like Murloc Paladin operates well versus the rest of Misfits lineup, in which case they can turn that into the throwaway deck and live to fight another day. I don't mind the call whatsoever. I think the attacker's initiative is what made the biggest difference in this one, but I do have to give props to Sifka. He spotted some pretty enticing lines amidst all the work they had to do there.
And as we approach the halfway point, we will take a brief intermission, but when we come back, we're going to find out what's going to happen the second half of Tempo Storm versus Misfits.
Who's that pro?
Is it enough though with Leox and Hopper?
6.
Oh, is it lethal? Okay, so it's actually lethal.
Yes.
Thank you to my kindergarten teacher telling me the ABCs.
You guys seeing this?
Game, record, and stream without compromise. Only on Intel Core i7.
Welcome back, everybody, to Trinity Series Season 2 Kickoff Day. We've played 5 games so far of the second match between Misfits and Tempo Storm, and we're about to enter game number 6 as we find out who will start off the league correctly on the right foot by going 1-0. If you guys don't know what Trinity Series is, it's an 8-team league invitational for some of the best teams and players in the world. And eventually we'll get off my ISO and introduce my co-caster. That's Aaron. But we'd like to give a big shout out to Intel and ESL and Twitch for putting together this awesome series and league. And can't wait to see what's going to happen as we get one step closer to finding out who will be on top for Season 2.
I do just want to iterate, by the way, TJ is still alive. He just works at Blizzard now. I just want to iterate that. I know that's, you know, quite a while ago now, but just want to clarify, TJ is alive. He's totally fine. I saw him like last week.
Yeah, he's doing well. He's actually kicking a lot of butt on HCT. That's primarily the project that he's working on. And
he's in Canada right now on vacation.
He's doing a lot of cool stuff, so can't wait to see what's going to come out of 2018. In the meantime, let's focus on what's coming up here from Tempo Storm. How will they counter this Murloc Pound? They've sent out Eloise once more, who was doing some work with the Quest Mage, but now turns to the Rogue to try and mix things up. Tempo Rogue's been very powerful, but Eloise is also known for playing a few other styles of Rogue. So let's see what she's got for this game.
Sousy Captain Coldblood can't be Tempo Rogue.
I mean, it's exactly Tempo Rogue. But you know, what kind of Tempo Rogue can fight back against this opening from Misfits?
The Grimscale Chum is potentially a bit of a trap here for Misfits. Whoa, Shadowcaster.
Yeah,
in here as well.
Yeah, the Shadowcaster is sometimes a one of in these rogue lists, and it gets ridiculous value sometimes. You can Shadowcaster Bone Marriage, you can Shadowcaster Vilespin's Vile Spine Slayers. And those are some of the top end stuff, and even some of the middle stuff. Like, you never know. You might Shadowcast another SI7 agent, or maybe another... what's the card I'm thinking of?
Just
Edwin Van Cleef, and just like play it as like a 5/5 or something.
Sometimes just anything in a way to actually activate late game shadow steps. I mean, I like the include. I think it's a bit clunky here in the opening hand, obviously, but that's a card I kind of love in here.
Well, what also makes it interesting is perhaps maybe even Tempo Storm's playing a little bit more elemental based as well. There are versions of the Tempo Rogue which plays Blaze Callers and Tar Creepers and Fire Plume Phoenixes.
Oh my.
And that deck also has a decent win rate. That was actually the version of Tempo Rogue before the patch 9.1 hit. That's the version that they were playing. I don't think it's the case because I think it's slightly weaker than just the normal versions that are being played right now. That was popularized by Asmodee and a few other guys. But I think both have a viable. Both are viable.
Yeah, Cold Light Sea here drawn as well, I think is actually a really big deal for Misfits. When you think about the Rogue matchup, you're thinking about lots of 2 damage effects that really fight against it. Backstab, South Sea Deckhand, SI7 agent, patches from a South Sea Captain, just even Prince Keleseth and eventually getting buffs on your 1-power guys. Cold Light Seer is trying to fill the gap that Murloc War Leader left when the change made it to where it didn't buff health anymore. You need a way to still have some staying power, and I think that card really fits the bill. I think it waters down your deck a tad, but is that something you're really unhappy about in the grand scheme of things?
All right, well, let's tune in to what the players are talking about as we jockey for position the opening turns here.
What does he coin though? He has another one, maybe? We just dagger here.
Yeah, it's true. It means he either has a Hydrologist or a Rockpool Hunter. 2 mana, 2/3.
Well, I think he's pretty certain that we're killing it. He's just maybe trying to get redemption for like a 1-drop or something.
Oh, okay.
But is redemption that good in early game? He's not getting blessing.
Right. I mean, it would be great for him to hold a 1/1, right? The Divine Shield guy and get it turn 3 with redemption.
But 1/1 doesn't do anything against us. Like we're rogue, right? We're not like.
Sure, but it protects the board.
Yeah, it protects so it can attack.
But our turn is pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah, I think it's that is a tricky one. Maybe
it's Keleseth Deckhand off.
Oh yeah, that's a really good play. I like that. All right, but assuming
because I will play for the turn cooldown. You? Alright, randomize. Like with Gemma, I get like. Yeah, I will not play.
I'm just going to quiz it to Coda, yeah.
Yeah. Gemma is here for that.
That's a good play.
See
now the question is, do we test for Noble Sack? Probably not.
No.
I assume it's not Noble Sack.
Yeah, let's just play the Tar Creeper out, right? I don't think it hurts at all to do this.
Yeah, we also play around War Leader too.
Yeah.
And we can kill War Leader no matter what.
Looking good. So the dream is to save the Shadowcaster for the Bone Bear, but this is an aggressive deck. We're not really planning that far ahead.
We will probably end up Shadowcastering SI just to get there with that.
I think that's very likely, yeah.
Fight on the
Sure, but if we Blaze, we have to play Consecrate next turn.
And or you can go Shaman Seer.
Sure, but remember we have Getaway Code. So he kills the Seer, we can just go Chum Seer.
It's like if we Blade to deal or 6 damage, it's a lot.
Sure, but if you want to maximize efficiency, then we'll have to like maybe Consecrate next turn. You don't have to be like.
White on the board, like if they play like. Yeah, I agree with. If they go Fledgling and 1/2, we can just trade. Like.
Man, there's a lot going on here. And
so much discussion, especially in contrast to a couple of the games that we've had earlier this series. There's so many decisions, and I mean, because it's a tempo-based matchup, tempo deck against tempo deck, those early game decisions pretty much mean the entire game implication.
Right. Your micro sort of becomes your macro in that instance, you know, and take a look at the Warrior versus Quest Mage game. The whole game plan for Misfits was shuffle in more Stonehill defenders, find Stonehill defender. It was very much an overarching game plan. Yeah. And this one, all it boils down to is how efficiently you can use the tools that you have early on. Maximizing the point of damage here and there is a major deal when it comes to this style of matchup. And that's why you're seeing not only Misfits, but Tempo Storm take this early game so intensely. Every single step can cost you if you do it wrong.
And vice versa, too. Misfits have had to change their game plans multiple times over because of their draws, because of what they've seen Rogue do.
Like the play here from Tempo Storm as well. Save the backstab, develop the board.
Well, yeah, and it also opens up the possibility of getting Vile Spine Slayer. Backstab Vile Spine Slayer is the best turn 5 from Rogue, usually, because they can deal with so many threats. And if you're ahead on board, it allows you to push damage. And the biggest thing for Rogue is to deny any board from Paladin, so that way they can't ever get a Gentle Megasaur. They can't get Spikered Steed or Bone Mare. And this is why, you know, the data historically has favored Rogue in this matchup.
Coincidentally, that's also Misfits' plan, is to deny Tempo Storm any board presence and make sure that they can't nail that synergy.
Yeah.
And Consecration is a card we have not seen in their previous 2 Paladin games.
Right.
So this is shaping up to be a really interesting game. You notice that Stan Cifka has over and over again in his deck building history had like 1 or 2 cards that change the way a matchup works. Consecration has been cut from almost every single Paladin deck that is aggressively based. Yeah. He's got Cold Light Seers as an addition to the War Leader, and he's still running a Consecration.
Yeah, and Cifka's gambles with his meta reads either make him look like a genius or just make him think, what were you thinking with that? And here he's even holding on to the Consecration, trying to see if he can soften the board even further and get slightly greedier for a big swing.
I like the play, but this is where the highest potential for punish is from Misfits. This turn, their nose is open.
Ooh, this is actually kind of a tricky turn because they can go in a couple different directions. Let's go ahead and tune in to what Tempo Storm's thinking right now.
We just Shadowcaster and trade the 3/3 into the 2/3.
I really like clearing everything to play around kings.
No, that's right.
Yeah, and also we can play Shadowcaster and it's the thing inside the copyright.
Yeah,
so
we can do it next turn. Yeah.
So we just play everything else this turn.
Yep.
Yeah. Backstab the 2/3, right? Yep. And then I guess patches into the 2/3. Yeah.
This always happens.
Wait.
Yes,
Wait,
because
why do we patches into
we
the
can dagger the 2/1.
We dagger the 2/1, and we value trade everything.
Yes. You're right. You're right.
Monka Omega. I don't know if I'm giving him a Goloka Cup. Hope not.
I don't think they're running it, but yeah, I like all the Valley trades for sure.
Yeah. Everything at 1 is a great place to be.
Wow.
Ooh.
That is not good.
They run Consecration.
Not what I expected.
Oh my gosh.
Not what I expected. Feels bad, man.
Nope, Shadowcaster.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
They'll probably clear it, and then we'll hopefully draw something better next turn. I think we hit the Murloc.
Do we Cold Blood?
No, because they can have the 3 and the 1. I guess we don't even hit
Terra, but if he has Steed, it's better to play the Cold Blood now, right?
Oh.
Does he need to steal?
So many options.
Even if we play Cold Blood, he's not going to steal this turn. If we don't play Cold Blood, it's pretty bad for him to steal.
Wait, it's pretty good for him to steed if he has steed.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think we play Cold Blood because we don't really have a better target. It's a board control game.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah.
So we do Cham, War Leader,
Hero Power trade. Yeah.
Right, and we switched Chum, right?
Okay, we do this.
Yeah, we do this.
This.
Because the Chum will end up like 3-4, right?
3-4,
Yeah. Then yeah. Okay. Sure. We switch.
Right here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hero Power is a 3-2, right? But this way we get.
Like, Hero Power is not 3-2.
3-1.
3-1.
Oh, it's 3-1. Down the nerfs. Yeah. Forget I said that. It's late in the evening.
No.
You can start seeing how even the subtlest differences in timing can make all the difference in the world. Misfits held that consecration on a turn where like, consecrate wouldn't be bad here, but they understood their information advantage. Tempestorm wasn't expecting it at all. Because they had no board, they couldn't get Shadowcaster. Because they couldn't get the Shadowcaster to stick, they can't have Bone Mare. And now Misfits is running away with the game.
Goodness gracious. These turns are just so good for Misfits.
Yeah, but I mean, it's because of the patience.
That tech choice as well.
Tech choice, the patience,
you gotta have it all.
the lead, everything.
You gotta have it all. And Sifka is really showing not only why Czech Republic, but their team is such a force in this tournament. They have played nigh perfectly for what looks like, 3-4 games in a row.
And also inside and outside the game, too.
Yeah.
The way they've outfitted their decks to specifically answer different threats is paying off. Now, it could have easily blown up in their faces, but it's not, and you're starting to see the rewards of it. And now Tempestorm, because they had to back, everything is just going against them because of the way the decision snowballed against each other.
Could they have traded that turn any different? I don't think they could have. They scoop it up. 4-2 lead for Misfits. In this one, they're going to stay on Paladin again because this is last hero standing. When you win with a deck, it stays in contention. When you lose the deck, it's then out of the running. The first team to 6 wins takes the set. Woo.
I mean, and Tempestorm did have choice, but they played into something that they didn't expect, and it completely took them off guard. And now Misfits' brilliance is paid off as they've made the correct baits.
I even think that Tempestorm playing the way that they did was correct. Again, they didn't see consecration in the previous 2 games versus this Paladin deck. I'm almost certain it's a 1-up at this point. And when I see 2 games without consecration, I am not playing around it.
But it's like you mentioned as well, or what we were talking about too, that the fact that Misfits is so capable of doing crazy stuff that, or out there, and it sounds so silly to people who are especially newer because they think consecrations usually auto-include a lot of those Paladin lists, especially historically. We've never really cut consecration unless it was like absolutely mandatory from aggro lists. But
you've seen Chum, you've seen Seer, you've seen the Crazed Alchemist.
You feel like there's no way he plays a slower card that's often used defensively in consecration.
What would be the point? It's literally just the one comeback mechanism.
So it's interesting, right? Like because we haven't seen more of those tools that favor the aggressive list, like Divine Favor. So maybe that's instead of the Divine Favor, they run Consecration because that's what they have with Curator and a few other things as well.
Yeah, they just want to shore up that matchup a little bit more when it comes to aggression. With the Cold Light Seer in there, their main game plan versus a deck like Warlock, for instance, is to just land Cold Light Seer on a board full of Murlocs and then land a Gentle Megasaur. That's really where your aggressive push comes from. Hope that the Warlock doesn't have the big follow-up after that. Having that one consecration quite literally won them a game that would have otherwise been unwinnable for them.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's because they want to catch a lot of other things too. Shaman's a deck that's really good against Paladin. So, and that people will try to counterpick that against the Paladin, and maybe that helps them close out the game a little bit more, or helps prevent the Shaman from ever building up a real big Flame Tongue swing.
I love Week 1 of Trinity. It's where the metagame starts.
It sets the bar because everyone at this point has to be on guard from this week moving forward.
Yeah, and
this is where you see the most surprises.
And we saw it in Season 1 too, where teams just started wildly adapting to certain circumstances. I mean, we saw complete overhauls in the archetypes that were known to exist. I mean, at times, it was going completely against the grain. Like, I remember when Tempestorm ran the Aggro Paladin. It was like, I mean, as far as the high-level community was concerned, that was not a deck that was playable. They had a very specific reason for the aggressive Paladin, though.
Yeah, and they also played, combo Cthulhu Druid, where they played, like, Bran, Aviana, what I mean? Like, Aviana, Bran,
the Cold Light Oracles.
Coalight Oracles, and then like double Cthulhu battle cries. That was all like earlier on, and then as the week developed, you also have these pockets where you can introduce big curveballs. So we expect to see different things over the course of the weeks, which is what makes it really exciting. You know, one of the funny things too that kind of sticks out to me was in the very beginning of the day for Misfits and Tempo Storm, they were talking a lot about how much time should we take per turn. You know, should we be roping to mess with them? And they're kind of playing with the psychology of it. So they're not only thinking about the optimal plays, but also thinking about every bit of information that they can give and squeeze out of their opponents.
Yeah, those little tiny things matter as well. And as the matchups continue to develop, teams are going to pay close attention to what they've seen opponents do in the past. Like, I can rest assured the other 6 teams, or I'm sorry, the other 6 teams are watching this set very closely right now to try to pick up as much information as they can going into next week, because that resubmission period from week to week means that maybe you can craft a deck specifically to take on something your opponent is having a lot of success with.
Yeah, or, you know, same thing goes both ways. They might just copy what's successful and then use that to beat other opponents that try to innovate too much.
Yes, the standard card game measure of defense.
Yeah, the Crane school approach, honestly.
Can't beat them, join them.
You know, a lot of members on Complexity even say, like, why aren't you just playing the best decks? That Amnesiac sticks to that, too. He says, people aren't even playing the best decks correctly. So why shouldn't I bring the best decks and play them correctly and win?
And frankly, I agree with him a lot of the time. I mean, he had an almost 75% win rate in HCT playoffs this year, and he just missed the mark on championship berth twice in 1 year alone. I mean, that's incredible to think about. I think he was the first player to make 3 playoffs, top 8s as well. Was it Amnesiac?
I believe so. But let's go ahead and look at how Hunter versus Paladin's going to shape up for Game 7. Tempo Storm's got a pretty good early game curve, and Misfits does play a little bit into that with how Kindly Grandmother shapes up against Grimskull Chum. Let's go ahead and tune in right off the bat and listen to their mulligans.
And we throw back Hyena, right?
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. That looks pretty good to me.
Okay.
TJ Sanders was here, the host of the season 1. Unfortunately, is now.
Oh, we played the type 4 with the right?
Transcendent strategy. Don't know too much.
So they have. Well, I'm not going to fall for false information, I guess.
Let me think.
So we must coin 2 into 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely grandmother, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Watch the teeth I have.
Do we only have?
Yeah, so there's a lot of debate between Tycaller and Screamscale Chum. So what's the theory of like playing Tycaller first?
I like the Tycaller first for a lot of reasons. The biggest one is Kindly Grandmother, where you know your opponent's going to be sticking a minion. So this way you get 2 2-power minions right into the Kindly Grandmother. So the only thing that punishes this is a Crackling Razor Maw into a buff. So there is some chance of failure here. They go with the Chum first. They're weak to Alley Cat. They're weak to the Bloodsail Corsair. They're weak to the Kindly Grandmother in that circumstance. Every single way that you open it up, if the Hunter has a 1-drop, the Chum is worse. And even if they have a coin 2-drop, it's still worse. The only time it's better is if the coin play is either Scavenging Hyena or Crackling Razor Maw. But even then, the Tidecaller does a very similar job. Just trade straight up.
Yeah, and you also lose the stats comparison as well, because you always, assuming you can guarantee the +1/+1 on the jump, you miss the +1 attack on the tide.
That's right. You're going to be missing something either way.
Yes. So, another thing about Tempo Storm, not sure, what they did, but they're drawing patches like a lot of the times here, and that's also kind of unfortunate for them.
Well,
but
the important thing is they get clear skies going into turn 4 for Misfits. And Gentle Megasaur by itself, a lot worse than Gentle Megasaur when it's got some Murlocs with him.
Animal Companion, 2 out of 3 outcomes is pretty good for accelerating onto the board here. But you can also kill command here and push your 3 and keep your 3/2 safe guaranteed.
I think either the removal options are superior because they're threat light right now.
Okay, you like using Deadly Shot in this position?
Or the kill command, one of those two. Because if they fail to draw a threat next turn, then they're going to be in really bad shape with just removal spells.
Okay.
At least I think so. They didn't see Rallying Blade, which I think is something they could have seen as well.
The Deadly Shot has a lot of mileage for things like Finja, too.
Yeah. They do need to consider closing the game, though. Again, with being threat light, can they push damage now and really open up that window later on?
Yeah, that's a good point. Using kill command for ending the game as they're just sticking your board.
Maybe Misfits has a True Silver Champion here, and you're left with Patches, Deadly Shot, Animal Companion in your hand, and suddenly a hero power really mitigates a lot of the value of the Deadly Shot in that instance. I think there's a lot of merit to using Deadly Shot now. Most of it stems from the amount of pressure they can apply later on. Now, Paramegasaurs. This may be the scenario where Misfits finally gets their Paladin deck tackled.
I mean, we'll see. I feel like I can't sleep too much on the Murloc synergies. Ooh, that's also a really nice card to have, too. So let's go ahead and start listening to the teams again and see what they're thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Bow Patches, we both agree? We all agree?
Yes.
I'm in charge now.
His hand seems bad. I feel like there is blessing of King. Or even
Yeah, do you think that deck runs Steed, now that we've seen it a few times?
We haven't seen it yet. They're running 1 Consecrate, maybe even 2.
But no matter if you run Steed or not, we still kill everything from him, right?
Yeah. Probably kill command.
Yeah,
probably.
Like double 3 next turn.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even have a 5 drop, a 1 drop in hand.
Nope.
It's actually fine, right?
So I move everything on board.
Yeah, just tied chorus here. Howlmaster still punishes us really badly. I mean, Howlmaster is like also awful, right, for us?
The Huntmaster and Brawl.
If he plays Howlmaster, like, we don't run Steed or anything, so, like...
Yeah, Howlmaster is a little bit trouble.
But
Shark first?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that still looks good. 3/2 into the 1/1 and trade into the 2/3 with the bow, yeah?
Yes. We might be at a spot where Deathstalker Rexar comes in handy now.
Yeah.
Bowmare.
The menagerie is for guests only.
Oh wow, that is great for us.
Surprise.
Pretty perfect.
Yeah, draw 2. Okay, they've played 2 Megasaurs, so that's why they only draw 2. So they have a 5/5 dragon in their hand and a Murloc.
Yes.
So
Rexar, we trade the 4/3 into the 4/6, and then we value trade our 4/4 into their 2/4, right? And push
we
through.
value trade given they could have Consecration?
If he Consecration, he can pass this turn.
Yeah, it's basically a pass. It's okay.
Next turn, yeah.
Alright.
I mean, you could hold Bloodsoul Corsair if you think it's a problem.
Do we want to hold Corsair? Or do we want to save it for a weapon? I'm gonna play Rexar though, yeah?
We save it for a weapon. Why do we play it? What's the point in playing 1-2?
Okay, yeah. We don't want to play it then. Okay.
Alright, so 4-3 in here, and then value trade?
I think the value trade is still fine, man.
Me too. I also play around terrain.
And no Corsair, right? Hunt.
Yeah, definitely not.
So it's Murloc and Buffy Murloc stuff in Murloc synergy, all Murloc synergy in his hand, I assume.
Put your faith in the light.
Tyrion forward ring comes down to the board, but Tempo Storm has the Deadly Shot primed and ready to go, and also they have Build a Beast online, which this hero power, don't sleep on it whatsoever against the tempo deck like mid-range Paladin.
And Timberwolf is going to get mighty scary here for Misfits as well. I mean, I could see the Alley Cat, Raptor Hatchling probably not to take, but the extra power right now could be a major deal.
Well, the big thing about Build a Beast is you always have an option of picking up Hungry Crab as a beast, and that alone swings it. Then you also have Dispatch Kodo for tempo swings, and you also have big taunts with charge possibilities.
Grab that grub.
I mean, Stubborn Gastropod also has a case here too. It's a very powerful
That's a good point.
Taunt minion. It's also cheap, so you can squeeze it in for zombie. For 3 mana. And then your
the mana constraint here, big one.
Oh yeah. So you know what's really clever about this is that he doesn't give the Timberwolf taunt, so that way you can't target. So the Bloodfin Raptor ends up coming. Rappy the Raptor ends up living again somehow as a zombie beast.
Good old Bloodfin Raptor.
Only 90s kids really understood that reference, man. Misfits looks like they're toast, man. The Deathstalker Rexar coming in big.
Nothing fights well here. You know, all of their plays leave them susceptible to Tempo Storm. They managed to turn it into a value battle, and that's where Deathstalker Rexar really sits. Can you get ahead and land Rexar to fight for value? It turns the game plan on its head. When you're fighting against Hunter, the big one to think about is how do you stave off their pressure? Once you've staved off the pressure, the game plan turns into how do you just simply end the game after that? When Rexar gets played, it changes that. It goes, no, do you have enough stuff to keep fighting me? Double Bloodsail Corsair. I don't even know if they use Build a Beast this turn.
I mean, no, they can find lethal if they find Build a Beast. And then they cap themselves at 5 mana Build a Beast.
I mean, they could just jam high main.
They could jam high main as well. I mean, I think all of the plays are viable.
I like going for lethal, though. You have the backup to fight the pressure. Timberwolf
Anything
won't
that
do
has
it.
charge. Timberwolf is good.
No silence, no charge. But Iron Beak Owl would have been good there.
Yeah, Iron Beak Owl. There's a lot of good stuff. And because as long as they pick the Timberwolf, they get something less than 5 mana, they can double Corsair play the Beast, and it's threatening in its own.
I would be curious to see what they took off the first one.
I would imagine it's Timberwolf.
Compound the issue.
Because,
Compound the issue.
Yeah.
Keep 5 power things on board so that Scalebane doesn't trade well.
True that. Well, assuming you're going to not trade into the...
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, so they took the Oasis Snapjaw for maximum stats, and now you're really starting to see just some of the power behind Deathstalker Rexar. And it's like you said, what the primary win condition of beating Hunter is either killing them first before they kill you, or outlasting their resources.
Oh no.
That's not enough, is it?
It clears the board.
They have to trade.
It's a 5-1 behind, though.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things that can come off of Build a Beast here that leave them crippled. I mean, the big one is that they don't trade well into this 3-6. It requires 10 points of damage or points of their own life. At any point that Tempo Storm gets a charge, Misfits is likely dead anyway.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like to see them use their, what remaining life total they can and try to get this race underway. That's the only way they're going to win.
Oh, that's tough. That's a tough decision. So let's go ahead and listen into the teams. This is a pivotal turn if Memphis is going to make a comeback.
Move quickly.
Oh, all right.
4 and 1 are similar, right? Sure.
Yeah, except Bow and Kill Command. And Tundra right now.
We can always get taunt. At least if we don't get charged.
Okay.
5, 10, 14, 17. Good luck.
We're dead to Bone Mare, so let's make sure we get something here. Uncles. We don't want
Fire
uncles.
Bat, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, that 1 damage could matter.
Mm-hmm.
Tom? Oh
Yeah.
wait, we have to pick 1 drop if we play Hyman.
But this plays around the Bone Mare, right? 4 damage, Kings and Bone Mare.
Yes.
I think he was setting up for it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, let's pick the 2 mana card. It's not so good because we can't play Hyman, but it's not like it changes our outs for next turn. I think the Hyman here isn't that great anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we play it and doesn't have 4, that means we basically, because he has to trade it all. So
I
it's
think it's
a matter
better
of
to play around Kings. Let's just play around the 2 Kings and probably Bone Mare they have in the deck too.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
So I will play the Seer and Bone Mare the 5/2.
This one, right? And try with
Yeah. Do
Like you want to put the minions on the board, they shoot down.
wait, do we like see a Bone Mare trade the 4?
One damage will kill the minion.
Do we trade the 4 so we have a taunt?
Because it's a poisonous.
I'm pretty sure we have to keep the taunt and risk it, right? I mean, it's a 1 in 5, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, like,
I don't think it does.
I will play this and
I mean, we gain 3.333%.
Okay. But what is that? That's Bone Mare.
Top decked it. Come on, come on! 2 good results! Oh!
God.
Oh.
Oh yeah, the poisonous even kills 1. That's cool.
Move quickly.
Alright, we have Kill Command as the out. And
We have Dispatch Kodo. Master.
That's not good enough. Here we go. Oh! We can still win! Fiery Bat!
Fiery Bat. Okay, yeah, take it. Kodo, please. Wow, the boar.
Wait, so we should just board now, right? That is the highest chance we have of winning right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Wait, unless we think... Wait, what did we pick? We picked Fiery Bat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, boar.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And it can attack, so we can even Houndmaster it, right?
Yeah, so we have a 1 in 3.
1 in 3. After we already missed the 1 in 3, I think.
Wait, never mind. We have a 1 in 4. Alright, here we go. Yeah!
Ah! So intense!
No! I wanted it so bad!
Oh, man.
Fire Bat, why don't you hit face anymore, man? You used to be a world champion.
That was a 2017 Fiery Bat if I've ever seen one. Dang.
Juggles are supposed to always go face.
Man, what a crazy back and forth. I really felt like Deathstalker Rexar would have done it, but man, I got to give props again to Misfits. They found a way to really push the line. And by instead saying, you know what, I'm not going to play protective over 1 life versus 4. I'm going to hit with the 3-mana weapon, the Rallying Blade, and push for lethal by keeping the Cobalt Scalebane around. Impressive foresight, and things happen to work out. And then also, the way Templestorm was saying, well, we got to make sure that we don't die to Bone Mare, so we just got to take this off-curve play even though we leave Highmane stranded. What an insane game that was.
The big one to me is just like how much weight Cobalt Scalebane carried in that one. Like, look at the amount of damage that Cobalt Scalebane dealt in that game. It buffed 3 times. It hit 3 times. That is a lot of damage for a 5-mana card. Holy mackerel, that card's good.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with Sansifka and Just Saying this series. They've been both playing at extremely high levels, understanding how to play around things and finding outs despite not looking good at times, or despite looking good and making sure they don't throw.
I just want to point out how crazy of a game it is. when you get into that situation and Trump doesn't want to play conservatively. Like, that's how far outside of the realm of normality you've drawn it when you get into a game like that. Yeah. Trump is almost always plays conservatively, but something he does is know when to take risks. He really wanted to get that second high main down there. And honestly, in hindsight, it may just even...
Yeah, wacky back and forth. Let's go into game number 8. It could be the last one, and the game differentials will matter a lot. This one's an interesting inclusion already. We see Skulking Geist in the Warrior deck.
What is the Geist doing in there?
It's a Fatigue Warrior.
But what's it
doing? The Cold Light Oracles.
Are they trying to burn their own Whirlwinds and stuff so they can Dead Man's Hand better?
No, they didn't ban Jade Druid. They banned Rogue and Priest.
Oh, you're right.
This is how they beat Jade Druid. And Fatigue Warrior, when it first was being fleshed out, was heralded by some of its experts as the best deck you're not playing. But people started figuring out how to play against it a little bit more, and fleshing out some of like how the late game scenarios looked like, and realized that it's probably more of a tier 2, tier 3 deck where it's better at countering specific things, but also have its own weaknesses.
Well, something that's happened is that a Fatigue Warrior deck, akin to what we talked about earlier in the series, where if Misfits wanted to beat Quest Mage, they have to include Dirty Rats. When you have to put in Dead Man's Hand and Cold Light Oracle, that extra 2-card slot that you occupied takes a big chunk out of how much you can fight against aggressive decks. And here we're already seeing that. Cold Light Oracle, in this circumstance, might normally be an anti-aggro card. Because it's Cold Light Oracle, they're going to fight against Misfits a little bit less efficiently on the removal end. Sure, it does replace itself, but ultimately their goal is to exhaust Misfits on resources so that they have time to build to that ultimate advantage, which is just the endless chain of things that kill other things. Fatigue Warrior is certainly still a force, but outright aggression, in my experience, has been one of the best ways to fight this deck.
Fight against the Warrior, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
I think outright aggression just pressures it so much that it forces them to have the right answer at the right time. That's typically just the way that you play against control in general.
Well, this is a relatively slow start for the Murloc Paladin.
Oh, this is a nightmare hand.
Yeah.
Double Bone Mare Tyrion right up front.
They have all of their most expensive cards besides the other Bone Mare.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was Curator Bone Mare Tyrion.
Yeah, but still, it doesn't change the fact that Misfits somehow drew all of their most expensive cards.
Probably worse than Double Bone Mare.
I mean...
Ooh, Blood Mage is an interesting
They're
choice.
also drawing stuff that they would draw with their Curator as well. Gosh. Awkward draw, to say the least.
I mean, eventually they have to miss a step, right? I mean, we've seen them on point almost every single game, and not to take anything away from them. You know, that's how this deck operates. It wants to draw very strong curves. But over the course of now their 5th game in a row with Paladin, you should expect them at some point to just not have a super good draw. Tempo Storm may have needed a little bit of luck to get back into the series. I mean, they're queuing Fatigue Warrior.
They need a lot of luck.
Murloc Paladin.
Even if they're favored, they have to win 4 in a row, and that still puts them at a huge deficit.
Just the sound of that guy.
That is Getaway Kodo, I believe?
Yes.
So Acolyte Whirlwind ends up making this clean up the entire board. Important to consider what kind of secret is also a possibility here. Let's tune in to Tempo Storm and see what they're thinking.
Yes.
What now?
And then the 2/2 is going to take a try at it.
So we do this first.
We can't collect one first, right?
Sure.
Let the pain speak to me.
Nice. Okay, that's fine. There's some merit to not hitting, though, if we didn't proc the secret. Because then he has to trade in case we have Battle Rage. So it actually buys some damage for us. Maybe.
Seems like a clear slam.
Slam and then play...
Oh, we
Thanos,
slam.
yeah.
Let's see
I
what we
agree.
get from slam. I want
Yeah.
to slam first.
Do you want to draw the card?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Alright, that's better. low block.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm very for just saving onto the Blood Mage for some extra AoE damage.
Yeah.
Guess it's super weak too. Shield slump.
You can hydrologist your
Could hydrologist coin Megasaur? But I think we want to like save the coin for Tyrion maybe, because we have 7 drops of quick.
Might be good hydrologist coin out Megasaur.
Yeah, because then we can like get away Cobalt next turn, right? Into 7, into 8, maybe, or we could redemption the Cobalt.
We should go on the board, yeah.
Yeah, we should go Hydro coin. Yeah, get redemption, I think. Right, get away, I guess, right? Yeah. Small value.
Like, it'll be good next turn.
We're looking for 1/1s, right? I think. Okay. Oh, 1/1s, yeah, 1/1s.
Like, especially with Tarim in hand.
Yeah.
Do you want to cycle the Blood Mage? We want it out of the hand before we play Dead Man's, right?
Yeah, you definitely want to play Blood Mage here. I'm considering if we want to play Dead Man's afterwards. It's a decent hand, but probably not good enough.
Yeah, we need to find some more card drop before you cycle that. I think we're just passing with the Blood Mage.
Yep, I agree. The next turn is very likely to be Brawl.
Well, what an awkward game this has become, where Murloc Paladin is not put on the aggression whatsoever. It's like a slow control deck with how heavy its hand has become. And then Tempo Storm just kind of doing what Fatigue Warrior does, which is nothing.
This does somewhat have a game plan for Misfits, though. You know, when you have all your top end, what that means is you can just throw haymakers onto the board turn after turn after turn and really put Tempo Storm to a threat check. You know, one of the best ways Tempo Storm actually handles this matchup is if Misfits has a curve that Tempo Storm can just simply handle. When it's just big thing after big thing, it puts a lot of pressure on them to like brawl boards that they don't necessarily want to brawl. And that's exactly what Misfits is going for here. They're considering not overdeveloping to just chip away for 7 damage at a time. I mean, that really adds up over a couple turns.
That's right. And how do they establish their multi-prong or multi-prong threat without overextending into brawl? Cobalt Scalebane is one of them.
Ooh.
You know, I was like, well, how do they beat Quest Mages if they Cold Light Oracle? Does it get the Fatigue? I was like, well, 30 rats in the deck.
Yep. It makes a lot of sense in Fatigue Warrior because one of the worst things that they can fight against is just big battle cries.
Oh man, Megasaur number 2 shut down. That's a pretty big grab.
And watch out if Dirty Rat wins this one.
1 out of 5. Oh, so close. Let's go ahead and tune into Misfits and see how they're going to react to this.
I guess on plant, right?
Good Curator, right?
Why would
my Curator is doing nothing.
Just drawing
I mean, because if you potentially... Yeah, I guess Burman makes a more durable board.
Like
I was thinking Curator because we draw War Leader and then we could maybe like place some little
Murlocs. 9/9 on board and Curator.
Yeah.
Like it's obvious drawing board.
And what about like which one do we buff? Probably the one on the left.
This one.
And put the Bone Mare here, right?
Here.
Yeah. In case they have.
Here, right?
They have the. Right. Yeah.
I say we are in all right.
I have a lot of cards.
Yeah, sure, but
yeah, second brawl and double sleep like
the weapon fishes and like the.
Yeah, but
we still have Tyrion, and Tyrion does a lot of damage.
There shouldn't be any other play, right?
Yeah, I agree. Scourgelord. And I also changed my mind about winning the game if we play Garish. This is gonna be close.
I think if there's no Tyrion, we're in the clear. But once the Tyrion comes out here, then it's maybe it's a lot harder.
think Tyrion's just slightly better.
Tyrion, yeah.
Yeah, Tyrion's just got to be better. Because we can always just play a little mill or something. Where do we Tyrion? Oh god.
I guess we want to
in the middle of the 5-5 and 1.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Between 1-1. No.
Here.
Well, maybe they can't develop that much into it anyway.
Yeah, maybe that means they don't run.
They run Tyrion.
Oh. He kept this as starting hand, I think.
We want another whirlwind effect, right? All clear.
Yeah, that would be great. I think
so we need whirlwind. We need like battle rage, whirlwind, or 6. We just need whirlwind. The shield block means we can't play the whirlwind. So I think we start with battle rage.
All right. So I think, let's see, we'll drop down to 8, we'll drop down to 10, crap.
We have to clear with double fishes, right? But then how do we win?
Yes, I think you just do that and then pass. I don't think you hit, you just double fish. Oh, okay.
I mean, I hit so I can clear everything else, right?
Sure. I was thinking that maybe we did need to clear Tyrion.
The Tyrion's gonna hit me for 6. It's just gonna be worse if I don't clear it this turn.
Man, intense moment there. I thought
consecration
that would have been that could have been it, but looks like Tempestorm survives by the hair of their chinny chin chin. And Misfits doesn't have the game-ending damage. Again, we don't usually see a hand this full where it outnumbers the cards of the Fatigue Warrior.
Well, a big one is that Tempestorm had to exhaust a lot of resources to get this done. So with Bring It On with Shield Block, I still think they're safe. They have the Dead Man's Hand ready, and now they've gotten past Tyrion, which means that every threat is vulnerable to execute at this point. But missing Sleep with the Fishes is a very big deal. The thing that's most difficult for Misfits right now is positioning for the weapon from Scourgelord Garrosh.
And Noble Sacrifice kind of introduces a funny dynamic too, because it does intercept the attack, but it also threatens your rightmost minion.
It's a weird card.
So it's a weird card when it comes to adjacent effects, and the first time that Noble Sacrifice ever ends up becoming the case there, because people didn't really play Faux Reaper or the Magnetor Alpha. And now Sleep with the Fish is gone. Ninja's more of a threat now.
And you can tell Tempestorm really wants to just hit that middle minion, but that will not do it right now.
Yeah,
Noble Sacrifice pulls the attack to the Vilefin Inquisitor and the Noble Sacrifice. And we are now approaching the point where Tempestorm is almost on priority to Dead Man's Hand.
They have to bring it on this turn. They're just dead otherwise.
Yeah, I honestly don't think the Bring It On is even that big of a cost to them at this stage, because if Misfits floods the board, that is somewhat dangerous for them. Right. So that may just be where their game plan is anyway, but given how conservatively they played this turn, it's clear they're relying on the damage from Blessing of Kings, from the Ashbringer, from the Rallying Blade to really keep that pressure up, not from flooding the board.
Do they want to shuffle Bring It On in the deck? Because you can get more armor that way. That's the way you can primarily go infinite.
Yeah, especially if there's only one Bring It On in the deck, and they've already used 2 shield blocks. So the Armor Smith and the Bring It On would be their final sources of armor if that's the case. It's not how they want to Battle Rage, though, that's for sure.
Right, and it's interesting that they're using it now.
Yeah, I am a bit curious about that as well.
As opposed to trying to set up for perhaps the Armor Smith. Is this lethal?
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 damage with the War Leader from the discount. And the high 5 from Misfits. 6 games to 2 versus Tempestorm. This Murloc Paladin did so much work.
Yeah, it's a completely different field, and they crushed it. And it's not just this series. In series number 1, we also saw Murloc Paladin run a clinic on G2 as Complexity was able to take that series 6-4. So Misfits, you know, one of the new teams, them alongside Planet Odd are two of the new teams that are introduced to Trinity Series. And boy, did they come out strong with a commanding and decisive 6-2 victory off the back of 5 Murloc Paladin victories.
Murloc Paladin went 8-3 in today's 2 matches, and 2 of its losses were to itself.
Yes.
Wow.
It's a pretty pronounced victory here. And also something to consider too is, you know, how much of a threat Misfits is to the entire roster of teams. People look at G2, they look at, you know, honestly, the new, the reformed Luminosity here, Team LOL, and look at, you know, Complexity because they understand how strong they are, but they don't really necessarily know how to evaluate Misfits because the only exposure that we've seen is primarily Stancifka, and we've seen George C and PokerVoc perform well in HCT and HGG, but we haven't seen too much of them. But I think now they've had quite the coming out party.
It's just everything was on point here, from the mechanical play to crafting game plans, from swapping over to macro and micro play, from interesting tech choices. They really displayed everything in this matchup that spells out what a force that they are. And taking the 6-2 victory, also very important. If it comes to tiebreakers towards the end of the season, your overall win rate is what matters going down to that final slot. So a 6-2 victory, decisive and good for them.
I remember Firebat was telling me 2 weeks ago, there's only 2 players in the world that he does not want to play against. He's fine against playing against everyone else. He's like, okay, going up against Colento and Muzzy and some of these other strong players, but 2 players he doesn't want to face. 1 is Amnesiac, and 2 is Stancifka. He has the utmost respect for him. He says that guy is not only technically on point, but he's also just unpredictable, and he's willing to do whatever it takes tech-wise. That sounds kind of like almost evil in a way, but no, it's more that Stancifka is just so crazy and wacky with his ideology on what's good and bad that he becomes quite possibly the most dangerous opponent you can face.
It certainly is one of them. You know, I've played Sifka a couple of times at Hearthstone. I've played him a little bit in poker. He's got a great mind for just card games in general. A lot of his trickery and deception comes into play, and then just also his fallback game plans, where in that matchup, it'd be tough for me to actually put together the 30 cards that are in that Paladin deck. Consecration is the one I'm eyeing to be only 1 copy of, but then they also fit Curator in. How many Steeds do they have? How many Blessing of Kings do they have? Is there no True Silver Champion? Like, I have a lot of questions about that deck still.
Well, we can toss some of the questions over to them right now as we have a member of Misfits joining us for a brief interview. So it looks like PokerVoc and Stancifka. Can you guys hear us?
Yes, yeah, we do.
Awesome. So tell me what it's like, you know, preparing for Trinity Series, considering that you two have worked together a long time for HGG, but, you know, how is it working with George C prepping for this tournament?
Yeah, he's very, very good, and he has very good ideas, so it's nice to have him in the team. It's a great addition, but we like working together with Mikola, so we are kind of used to how to do it. So I love the format. Like, I love the team formats. It's a lot of work, but it's quite rewarding if you prepare well, I feel. So I kind of like it, yeah.
Do you feel like being first up on deck for Trinity Series gave you an edge in this one, considering that you've been always known as a deck builder?
Yes, I feel it's close to impossible to make perfect lineup, and obviously the more time you put into it, the closer you get to the perfect lineup. So I feel it's super rewarding, and I feel super confident in these formats. So yeah.
Awesome. Is there a special occasion why you and George are both dressed up very formally today? I'm not complaining. I think you guys look great, and I think you should do it every week. But is there a special occasion going on here?
No, it's fine. Like, sometimes I dress like more formally. Sometimes I draw like a homeless guy. It really depends. Like, obviously someone needs to compensate Mikolas because like he's always dressed like really on point, I would say. So like we kind of want to make it even, but yeah.
That's right. Actually, I remember when PokerVoc came to the Hearthstone Championship Tour Winters last year, he also dressed up very formally as well. So everybody on your team has good fashion sense. I like it. You should bring it out, but make sure you're all in unison because, you know, I think he's representing the team and you're dressing up well. Admiral, do you have any last questions for these guys?
No, I think that wraps it up for me. It was a pleasure watching you guys play. I think everything was on point, from tech choices to technical play to just overall strategy. Well done.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so good luck to Misfits in the future weeks. And again, couldn't be more impressed. And I think what's really cool, too, is seeing how they're handling teamwork. even though today we're talking up Stancifka's big game and his big brains and his big plays, Pakravac stays in his lane. He takes notes, kind of brings up points of like, hey, this is what's been going on. And then George is there to be a different pair of eyes and to offer different opinions. And you can see the respect coming down too. Stancifka says, George has different ideas. He's really good at the game, and we can both find the middle ground here because sometimes I can't catch everything. So a really good job here by Misfits, and I'm going to keep my eye on them for future weeks.
Absolutely. I think the George C one really speaks for itself, too. I mean, if you ever talk to him about the game or hear him talk about the game, you can tell why Sivka has such respect for him.
All right, so here's a brief recap of what happened on day one here. We had 2 matches. Complexity took out G2 Esports by a score of 6-4 off the back of Murloc Paladin, and of course Misfits also putting Murloc Paladin on the map with their own tech versions, not even giving Tempo Storm a chance to see the rest of their decks outside of just those 2. Tempo Storm, of course, brought their own weird stuff too. The Demon Zoo Warlock, which we weren't really expecting too much of, end up making quite the splash. But they're going to have to go back to the drawing board. We'll see the other 4 teams compete tomorrow. Every week of Trinity, we're going to have 2 days of matches. We're going to start things off with Planet Odd featuring recent Hearthstone Championship Tour Spring Champion Hoy, along with Surrender, who also won APAC Summer and Sixo, up against Virtus Pro, who got very far last year and, of course, has 2016 World Finalist Dr. Hippie.
Oh, yeah. They've been such a strong team, and it's always a pleasure to hear them talk through their lines because there's so much they have to say about the smallest little details.
That's right. And, of course, Team Liquid will be going up against Team Love You Lots. That is Team Luminosity, or former Luminosity, with Chalky, Zalay, and Muzzy, keeping them together at least for one final tournament.
2 America's points leaders on the same team. That is not a team I'm looking forward to playing if I'm anyone in this league.
And one of them's guaranteed to go to the World Championships through last call. I mean, we still haven't seen how the points shake up. Muzzy looks like to be almost the certainty, but Zalay might be able to sneak in the last second, depending on how things shape up.
I think it's Muzzy needs to not top 200, and Zalay needs a #1 finish on ladder.
All right, so with that, day 1 is in the books. Hope you guys enjoyed all of it. We want to give a big shout out to our sponsors once again to thank them for keeping the lights on here. So a big shout out to Intel, Twitch, and ESL for providing all of support here for Trinity Series Season 2. That does it. So from Frodo and Annabelle, thanks for watching day 1 of Season 2. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific for more Hearthstone action.